mic here, and we have a mic here, so that you can on this side just walk to the mic and ask the question yourself, and I'm sure he's going to answer it. And if you believe it has not been addressed the way you want it, I'm sure the moderator will give you the opportunity to ask the question again that you believe your question has not been answered. That's all it is. It's been going around the world, trying to initiate us into its movement. And one good thing about it is that at least the excitement that it's creating is because for once, as Nigerians, we are seeing that we don't have to settle for what is always given to us. We have the opportunity to say, we want something different. That is the excitement. That is not always about, okay, is it Buhari or Atiku, and then in 2055, is it going to be Atiku or Buhari again, even when they're in their graveyards, that people will tell you it's not possible. But at least he's making an effort to tell us, as Nigerians, that why should we settle for less? Why can't we determine our own destiny? We don't know how far the movement is going. It's exciting. We expect it to go beyond even our expectations. So we are that's all the reason. And when you say the gentleman, not just about the fact that I want something totally different, but the excitement part of it is that this is a man that is grounded, he understands the issues, he explains the issues, and he's profound solutions to the issues. And he's not afraid. He's been on the ground for quite a long time. And, so let's see, when he speaks to us, people tend to say, we in this part of the world, we don't have electoral value because we probably will not be home to vote at that point in time. That's probably true. But I know that election is not only about voting. Election is always about influence, putting your money to support, and those things we can do. I've always believed that he who plays the piper dictates the tune. If you've been sending money home to people for healthcare all the time, and you see an opportunity that if you vote for this guy, he's going to give you that hospital that you don't have to be calling me for money, then why don't we do that? If what is going to cost is just a small amount of money to support this gentleman, to create changes for us, why don't we try it? What we've been doing for many years that has not taken us anywhere, why do we intend to still continue in that path? What have we got to lose to make a difference and say, let's try this guy? What have we gained in the last 20 years of this political dispensation? By the time in 2015 everybody decided, listen, we don't want this guy, he has to go. Let's try this somebody else. It seems to be an investment in darkness. It seems to be an investment in reverse. Nothing is going forward, and they keep explaining to us, that's the way it is. So do we have the opportunity for once to say, the hell with you guys. Let's try something different. So if you cannot vote, you cannot tell me you cannot support. Even if you don't have thousands of dollars. He explained yesterday, if you listen to the interview, he said, it's not looking for you to bring $1,000. If it's $100, if it's $50, invest in something that you believe can make a change. That is the crucial point we have right now. Let's look deep inwards. Let's look at the mirror. Do we continue this path? We're always ashamed we go anywhere, just see the green passport. Because our leaders have demonized us in different ways. You open the Facebook, you open your WhatsApp, you go on the BBC or CNN. The only thing they speak about us is, it's not because we don't have Nigerians that are making exploits in different fields, but at the end of the day, you will be judged by the leadership of your nation. We say the richest Nigerian is Nigeria, African is Nigerian, the richest woman is Nigerian. Yes, they know that. But the fact still remains that you will be judged by your leadership. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no adjective that I know to describe them than just say they are crooks. You may have a better adjective, but that, yes, someone say thieves. You know? And they're so crafty about it. So what this man is doing is, number one, he's a candidate because he's a diaspora. He understands issues because he lives in Nigeria at the same time. So we know that it is on both sides of the divide. He's grounded in the issues. He's been participant in the issues. He's been a union leader from school days. So it's not about him looking at it from this point on and saying, if I get it, I may be able to steal. At least he has demonstrated in the last almost 30 years that he's been challenging the authorities from the school days. At least that goes to his credit. He has risked his life when there was nothing to gain. To stand up and speak power to truth. So those are the reasons someone like me will come on board. I don't necessarily jump on board to support anybody, but I look at issues. I might be in my comfort zone in Toronto, that I don't care what is going back in Nigeria. That's their problem. But I have families there. I watch news. Politics sometimes, I believe at the end of the day, politics is about choice. Simple. It's about choice. Choice to remain the same or choice to move forward. One thing that I believe has been demonstrated beyond reasonable means is that the situation right now is not tenable. It is not tenable. I may not have all the answers. I may not be as courageous to challenge the authority, but if I see someone who is willing, the least I can do is to support. Yeah, that's the least. We must understand one of his going around in Nigeria, even the Emir of Kano actually warned him. Be careful. It's sacrifice. That alone is a testament to his integrity. It's easy for him to just shout and every time they call him PDP or APC that what do you want? But he stood his ground and said, no, I don't want to be part of you. Actually, I don't see the difference between APC and PDP, really. But I mean, it's the same man changing different garments, really. If Saraki can be governor under PDP for 8 years, senator for 4 years, 12 years, and then move down to APC and become a senator too. So is it Bukola A or Bukola B? What's the difference between them? It's like going to a taxidermist. You take the live dog in, you take the dead dog out, say, we're still the dog. You understand? So to me, that is why I'm on board. And I'm sure that's the excitement that many people are on board. And I'm sure to question, that is why some of us are here today to say, okay, let me actually see this guy. Let me actually ask him the question. Let me actually see his face. You know, sometimes politics is not what you see. You want to, you know, the body language and everything. You want, maybe that's why some of us are here. That let me actually see this man. Let me hear him speak. Let me ask the question. Let me see how he can handle the issues. You know, maybe that's why some of us are here. I'm telling you why I'm in already, because regardless of the situation, I have nothing to lose. Thank you very much, sir. Same day. I have nothing to lose. I'm on board, supporting him. I don't know him before. I just went back. But one thing again that I'm sure that is going to happen, I'm sure, again, one of the things that is going to happen is that there will be people that will call you back and go back. Now we have him coming on. Okay, guys, can we rise up?
Take it back. Take it back. Protect Nigerian people. Take it back. 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 Show. There is power in the people. Power, power. There is power in the people. Power, power. What is your power? PVC is your 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 power. Let us Nigerian people. Let us Nigerian people. Let us of the greatest Nigerian people.
We'll say standards, sing the Nigerian national anthem. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fathers one, with love and strength and faith, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain, to serve without a mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Whilst you're standing, you will Canada right now. Let's also sing the Canadian national anthem. Oh, Canada. Thank you very much. You can all sit down.
Take it back!
Take it back! Take it back! Take it back! Thanks for coming. And that's a man for you. Let me quickly go through some of the protocols that we'll be having here today. My name is Mike Deloloyade from Voice of Africa Radio. And let me quickly thank some of the people that are working behind the scenes, to put these things together. In coming here, there are quite a lot of people that are behind the scenes, making sure that we have our man in Toronto. So let me first start. Mr. Musarika, he's not here. He's one of the initiators of this, but there's a pertinent engagements that he has to be facing in Nigeria. He had to leave, but I'd like to thank him. Of course, Mr. Omoyele Sowore is here. I'd like to thank him very much for what he's doing. Mr. Chidi has been working so hard since yesterday. I have the man from Academic, Stephen. Their lady here has been doing a really fantastic job. That's the lady here. She's one that is coordinating everything. She's been working very hard. And of course, I don't have a list with me, but there are quite a lot of people that are putting this thing together, so we would like to thank them for it. If I get the list before the end of the program, I'll let you know. Now, like we've been talking about, he is here to explain to us, not that we don't know the problem, but he's going to tell us, to profile the solutions to the problem. One is young, vibrant, with clear understanding of issues, and it's going to provide solutions to us. The way it's going to happen, Mr. Chidi is going to be moderating this event. What is going to happen is that we pass some papers around. If you don't have the paper, please you can signal, then write your question. We are going to collect all the papers. We're not trying to stifle anybody from talking whatever, but what we are trying to do, we don't want repetition. We have so much time, so that we are going to group them into 4 or 5 categories, and we'll be presenting those questions to, we're going to take 2 from each category, and we'll present it to Mr. Sowore to answer it for us. And when there's enough time, then we'll now throw it open again for anybody to ask questions if you believe that your concerns have not been addressed. Now, after that, I might come back, but Mr. Omoyele Sowore will be giving us the vote of thanks at the end of the program, and then there will be enough time to take pictures with Mr. Sowore. But one thing I'd like to say, those pictures, you make sure that at the end of the day, you give it back to me so that I can sell it in future to make enough money. Okay, and if there's anything, let me know by signaling or talk to that lady taking the jacket there, and she's coordinating everything, anything that you want us to do to definitely do with it. So, Mr. Chidi, what is your question?
Great Nigerians! Great! I feel like someone is sleeping. Great Nigerians! Great Nigerians! Greatest Nigerians! Take it back! Take it back! Take it back! Thank you so much. I'm glad to have everybody here. It shows the seriousness that you guys attach to what is happening in Nigeria. Me personally, I don't tire. We don't pass seriousness. Now it's time for action. Yes. All the talk don't do. So many people don't talk, but we don't want people who just talk the talk. We want people who talk the talk and they walk the walk. That's right. And that's the person we have in our brother, the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Before I go on, I'd like to recognize the presence in our midst, because we are all here as Nigerian Canadians, of the chairperson of the Nigerian Canadian Association, in the person of, we just like to call her Lady K. Put your hands together for her. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming. That's just to let you know that the Nigerian Canadian community here is solidly behind you. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Today he is here. A lot of you have asked questions online, you have on the videos, on the streaming that he's doing. You keep asking. We said we'll bring him here. You both thought we were joking until you saw him yesterday in the airport. Not just that he was down at the airport, now he's live in front of you. In fact, I know a lot of you want to rush, that's why we do this thing. Alright, we're going to go straight into the questions, but I will start asking the questions. I don't want to pity him, because if he's going to be the president will be my issue. If you're going to be president, we need to grill you, and if you don't measure up to expectations, we'll find another slogan. Alright, so I'm going to start by asking you, sir, as they are sorting the questions. If you still have any questions, please write it and take it over to them there. please. If you have any question, write it and take it over there. We're not going to take every question. We're going to group it. When we're asking about health, we'll talk about health. We don't want to talk about health. Another person will come and talk about health. There's so many issues in Nigeria, so please write your questions and take it to him. But for a start, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Sowore, what is your vision?
Thank you. Thank you. And let me use this opportunity to thank our brothers and sisters, our compatriots, who have taken out time today to come see one of your own. I want to thank the organizers who have made it possible for me to arrive from Nigeria just yesterday via a red eye. I actually left in the night, day before, arrived in Nigeria yesterday, and came to Canada just after a few hours. It has become necessary to call myself one of you because just like many of you, I've been around in North America for 19 years. And guess what? When I came here in 1999, it's instructive because it will be 20 years in 2019 that I've been in America, and I'm heading back home as president of the federal. But when I saw somebody, 1999, who told me he'd been in America for 10 years, I thought it was crazy. I was like, what are you doing here, 10 years? Then I was fresh in town. I had no idea that the reason people are here is not because there's so much love out here, but a lot of people really want to give back, they want to go back home, but the objective conditions for returning back to Nigeria is just nil, it's not there. And it's the same thing that happened to me. I came, I went to school, started a business, Sahara Reporters, and tried to go back home. Home is just not for you after a while. And then I wonder what people at home are going through. If those of us who can afford to, send money home, pay our bills, and buy nice clothing when we go home. Some of us own houses, cars over there. If we cannot live there, then it means that Nigeria has become truly an unlivable place on earth. And I'm using that to define my vision and my mission in going to Nigeria. I am not new to the Nigerian landscape. I have been an activist in Nigeria since 1989. So also by 2019, I would have been an activist fighting for a better Nigeria for 30 years. I'm 47. I started doing this since I was about 17 years old, fighting to create a country that is just fair and livable. So my mission is simple, and is defined by why most of you are sitting down here today. I am sick and tired of a Nigeria that doesn't work, and I know could actually work for the Nigerian people. I'm sick and tired of leaders who don't know their left from their right. I'm sick and tired of a country that is flowing in milk and honey, but its people are living in penury and abject poverty. Yes. So my mission is to go there. Not I want to de-emphasize the word I want us, good people of Nigeria, to head back to Nigeria to rescue the country. And what I found out in the last few weeks that I've done this is that we are not the only one who feel that Nigeria should be rescued. I did a social experiment on April 3rd, what most of you don't like to do. I packed my things and traveled to Nigeria as part of this decision to travel to the remotest part of Nigeria to test out whether Nigerians are united in bringing an end to their misery. And when I got to the airport, I was received massively by young people. Massively. We have all the information online, you can see it there. Some of them are live. When we were done with the reception at the airport, we took a trip to Ibadan as a starting point, called a town hall meeting like this. The place was filled up. 1,000 people were sitting inside the hall, another 1,000 outside, couldn't even gain entrance into the hall. All of them were saying, look, the time is now to take this country back from these people. So Well, as you know, Nigerians are a little cynical. They say, well, this is Southwest agenda, it's because you are Yoruba man. Try it not. So we headed to Abuja, had a town hall meeting, the place was also packed. What was the question we were getting? How soon can we get it done? So we left the place and went to Kano. Kano is supposedly the stronghold of Mr. Buhari, or Power Buhari as they love to call him in Nigeria. We went to Kano, and met poor people who are saying they want a future for their children. They don't think this is working for them anymore. Came back to Kaduna. Women formed 80% of the town hall meeting. Women in order on one side and the Christians from southern Kaduna. And the message we left with them and they applauded was that they no longer want a southern or northern Kaduna, they want a happy Kaduna. And they have discovered that the current political system can no longer deliver to them the kind of future that they think their children in which their children can flourish. One of the things I heard from that I can never forget is that each time we met all these people, including tracing some of them back to Lagos in Agege where they're beggars, they kept asking that they want to send their children to school. They said, we want Makaranta, which is Hausa name for schooling. And I was surprised because up until then, we've been made to believe that Northerners don't like to go to school. That is why Boko Haram is flourishing. So we met someone who broke it down to us, an amazing, interesting Sheikh Gumi. And he broke it down, he said, do you know why Buhari gets 12 million votes in the North every election cycle? He said, because there are people they call talakawas in the North, the poor people. And they've always been looking for someone who can take them out of poverty. This has been their lifelong dream. And they thought Buhari would do it. You know what they call Buhari in the North? Megaskia, the man of the truth. But they've discovered that he's not better than the others who have come before him, who have fooled them and taken them for a ride. That was why we were accepted to come in the North. Otherwise, even the former governor of Kano State cannot enter Kano to campaign. We were there, we were doing radio shows, we were mingling with people. We went to the Emir Palace and spoke to the Emir. All these things you can find online. So after leaving the place, we headed to the southeast, where of course there's a lot of agitation for Biafra right now. Again, what we saw there, I can just put it this way. A lot of Nigerians have seceded mentally from Nigeria. Yes, it's not only Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas. They no longer see Nigeria as a place that can accommodate their aspirations for progress and prosperity. So, but it was amazing that we had all these people accepting the message we brought, which was that we can take the country back and rebuild it and make it a progressive and prosperous state that can cater for its own people. And they asked us to define it, but we found out that a lot of Nigerians don't actually want too much. They just want simple things. Integration, you ride from one place to the other. Nobody asks us for water. They know that government is probably not going to provide. They've already provided water for themselves through boreholes in their company. Everybody is running a local government, by the way, in Nigeria. But they want schools, they want hospitals, they want, be able to do business and get a small loan to cater for their immediate needs. The pensioners of work, they want to be paid their pensions. Workers want to be paid salaries on time, not 6 months after they have been there. But all of this, as you all know, is nothing new to us. We all know the problems, as you have said. The thing is, how do we find a solution to this? And the solution is right there in our presence, it's close to us. The solution is to mobilize Nigerians across the world to go after these people and take them out of the system.
Mr. President, yes. I am going to
I know you want to interrupt me, but I would love to just conclude.
Yeah, I didn't want you to run ahead of yourself, but
yes, I'm just doing an intro.
Give you opportunity to.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
So you just told us about your vision.
Yes.
Why are you in Canada?
Okay. So the reason I'm in Canada is that in executing this vision, people are desirous and they are in a hurry to unite and make this the final turning point for Nigeria on the path to progress. Let me put it to you this way. If we can have just the support, financial, but that's not everything we need. We also need to individually mobilize our people at home. Let them go and get their PVCs, that is the permanent voting cards, or voters' cards, as they call them, and ensure that they vote on election day. And since you are the ones who most likely send money home, you should be able to talk to your family members and relatives. But most importantly and finally, Chidi, I have no doubt that we can win this election next year.
That's right.
I have no doubt.
That's right.
And, I'm starting to prepare your minds to start thinking about packing your load and coming home to help.
Yes.
Because this same period that we are in now, India was in that situation a few years ago. They brought back all their nurses, doctors, computer experts, whatever it took to bring them back, they did. They invested in it, provided them gated communities, replicated at least some measure of the lifestyles that they used to here. And there's the reason why Nigeria is spending $2 billion in medical tourism in India today. Every little person that's sick in Nigeria that can afford it is in India. Because India made the investment to bring back their diaspora to help in rebuilding their country. And I'm sure that you should start preparing for that. That is part of why. So you know that at least you've heard from your president, and he says you are coming home, right? And because I don't see how these guys will escape what is coming to them next year. I don't see how it's going to happen. If it does, then I know that we've tried and truly failed. But with what I'm seeing on the ground and what I'm hearing from people, they are in trouble. And one last thing I'll say, Chidi, before you intervene is, no one, and I mean it, it's very rare that I heard from anyone who was asking my ethnicity or my religion. So the religious argument has also, gone through its full circle and failed. The ethnic circle has gone through full circle and failed. People are now looking for persons of character to take Nigeria to the next level. So that's just another report I brought back from my 23 days of traveling in Nigeria. And I traveled everywhere, by the way, without a single policeman in our event. None. The only security we had was our conscience.
Thank you very much. The next question, you already started answering it. I don't know if there's any other thing you want to add, but I wanted to tell you that elections are not won by talking. So how do you plan to win this election? Because you're going into an environment where, I was telling somebody this morning that in Nigeria, he said they pay you, they bribe you to vote. I told him no, we've passed that era. In Nigeria, they don't give you money to vote. They hold the money and they wait for you. When you vote and come out, you show me who you voted and I'll give you the money. That's how bad it has become. That's the environment you're going to fight. So how do you plan to win this election?
I just told you, if I had not traveled to Nigeria before coming here, I'll probably have internalized and believed what you just said.
Okay.
I traveled to Nigeria and visited almost 12 cities. And again, you can see it online. Some of them we stream them live, and those we can't stream live, we provide the videos. The excitement that we saw in those places, and like I said, some of the places we went to, people actually paid for the hall, or they gave the hall to us for free. So they are not expecting anything from us. I think people have realized consciously that when they give them grinding machine, they give them pepper, they give them 500 naira, and they give them rice, and all of that nonsense, including onions, that they give them. My analogy of it is that they give you grinding pepper, you put all the ingredients together, you grind it, you eat it, and you go to them and say, where's the bridge we promised? They say it's inside your stomach, because it's stomach infrastructure. I think people are smarter and wiser now than they used to be before. Like I said, we all have to keep doing this until their style of politicking tips over. And I think I've seen the end of it already, going by the engagements we had. You know, even the media practitioners in the country have all embraced it. You know, we did a lot of interviews, both TV, radio. In fact, in one of the interviews I did, I accidentally met the Minister of Communication, who was the first casualty of this movement. Yes.
Consequential.
He was the first person to be disrupted. And so, yes, we've had amazing inroad into the system, but I also don't want to be under any illusion that some of this will not be a factor. It is the reason we are reaching out to you, to keep talking to your relatives at home. One of the messages we give to them is say, look, Nigeria has seen the transition of power, rotation of presidency, at least in 3 regions now. We've seen it go to the Southwest since 1999, 8 years. It went to the North again for a few months. It went to South for 5 years. Each of the presidents that have been in power since 1999, none of them could construct a highway from the closest city to their village. Even if to do themselves a favor. No. None of them brought about water or hospital to their village, to their people. So the people in the Southeast who thought Jonathan would help them found out after he left power that he had no intention of constructing a second Niger bridge. The best he did was to commission a photograph of the bridge, what the bridge will be in the future. Now, so people have come to understand that it's easy to fool them using ethnicity and religion, and what to say, these tokens that they give them in terms of money on election day. Another consciousness that I think would be a backbreaker for the old political system is that the elites, especially the middle class who don't used to vote, are now realizing that for years they've been allowing people who don't know as much as they do to determine their leaders. So in places like in Lagos, in places like Lekki, the Victoria Land, and Ikoyi, there are 2 million middle class people there who don't vote. What they do when the election is coming, they will travel abroad and they'll be asking when they get there, is the election over? Is it free? Is it fair? Is there violence? They've realized that it's time to actually vote. So we've seen more and more people getting involved in the voting process. And we tell the young people everywhere we go that look, rigging of election is done by young people. Assassination is carried out by young people at home on behalf of the politicians. When they want to go and carry ballot boxes, it's not the old people that are going. So why don't you just merely withdraw your services from them this time around? And let's have free and fair election and see how easy it is to defeat these people. Now I think we're going to see that happen. I did an analysis, and I'm sure you're ready with your next question, of Buhari's votes. Buhari gets 12 million votes every election cycle, guaranteed. But this time around, he won't. And the mathematics or arithmetic is very simple. People who used to think he's a honest person vote for him in Plateau State, Benue State, they vote for him in Southern Kaduna. All of those people are not voting for him this time around because the headsmen are running, rampage all over the place, killing people on a daily basis in Benue, in Plateau, all the way to Ebonyi. And they know that the president intentionally did not do anything. That is assuming he's not conniving, to make sure that these guys are getting the kind of weapons that have become very interested in how they get them, and the Nigerian army could not get weapons to fight Boko Haram, but herdsmen can get weapons to transport across the country and kill people. That is not the kind of president that Nigeria would want this time around, and they already know it. And as we're speaking, they are not campaigning. They are relying on the usual paper money that you're talking about to distribute, but I think they will be shocked in 2019.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yes, all right. From now, the power is going to go back to the people. We're going to move very fast. We collected the questions. I don't want you to be kind to Mr. Sowore.
Ask my lawyers to go after.
I don't want you guys to pity him. I want you to grill him. I want you to ask him the toughest questions. The organizers have not connived with him to give him expo or something. The questions were written here. He does not even know what's coming up to him. He wants to show him that he's in Toronto. So we're going to be fast about it. We've grouped the questions. I have the first 2 questions, and I'm going to call the people to come out and ask the question. After taking the 2 questions, then he can answer it. Please stick to what you wrote. I'm going to call on Water Fasten, and also Mr. Tunde Olafusi. Please, 2 of you approach the microphone and ask your question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Sowore. We are glad you are here in Canada, in Toronto, and the opportunity to give to work by President, former President and new President. And thank you for the community that show up. My first question to you, sir, is about how are you going to work with this cabal, this old analog that fool this Senate or House of Assembly that they have been there for decades? How are you going to deal with it? All right. And the second, go ahead. The second question, believe me, the religious leader, the churches, let's say religious leader, they fail Nigeria. How are you going to deal with it? Thank you so much.
Yes. Now we're going to take the other question. Go ahead, ask your question from there.
Okay, my name is Tunde Olafusi. I am known Sowore back in my unit like this, and I still see him as the same person. So I am very happy to support the Take It Back movement, and I'm putting everything I have to be part of that platform. But something that I still find missing in the whole engagement is the fact that I haven't seen any plan to engage people at the grassroots level. One, and I'm saying this because if you're going to fight at the presidency level, there should have been people. We want to see the councillors who will be working with you, the House of Rep, the senators, the House of Assembly people. We want to know who they are, because we know some of your ideology, but we don't know the antecedent of these people that will be working with you to actualize this agenda. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
So your first question relates to fighting cabals, and that's one area where I have a degree in fighting cabals. And Tunde, who just spoke, attended the University of Lagos with me. We used to have a problem of a small cabal on campus. They were gang members. We called them university cults, cultism in the university. And at the time, our campus was overwhelmed by these guys. They were just doing what they liked. You know, rape cases, extortion became an order on campus. And we found out that they couldn't touch them because they were children of the political cabal on the outside. So at the point we had to fight against them and liberate our campus from them and gangs. When I left the university, I had been expelled twice. I've been arrested 8 different times. So, went on from there in 1999 to come to the US. After I was done with my master's degree, I set up Sahara Reporters, which most of you know. It's 12 years old now. And they went out against the cabal again. And one of the things we did with Sahara Brothers was to eliminate a Mugabe agenda by Obasanjo through the third term. We helped to make that fail. There was a cabal that used to be known as the Yaradua cabal, which was led by his wife when Yaradua was brain dead in Saudi Arabia. And they didn't want a peaceful transfer of constitutional power to the vice president at that time, Goodluck Jonathan. We fought that cabal by exposing the fact that the man they claimed was recovering was actually brain dead. And that led to the ascension of power by Jonathan. So when Jonathan became, well, I don't want to use the word useless in front of you, but that was what came to happen. And created his own cabal, led by, Diziani and others. We had to fight that cabal. This involves Diziani, his wife, Patience, and all of us went through that. The disappointment we had that the person with the PhD came to power in Nigeria as a minority. The German, we thought they would perform wonders. For 5 years, they were just stealing left, right, and center. So a cabal led by his wife and the Minister of Petroleum, we forced that cabal to the point that they lost the election. I'll tell you what they told me in February 2015, when they postponed the election by 2 weeks. They told me, his cabal people said, why are you bothering yourself, Sowore? There's no way with the kind of money we have, we can lose this election. And that answered the question about somebody asking that they already have the money. Jonathan is an example of how money cannot work when people are determined that you will lose. Most people that were against Jonathan in 2015 were not for Buhari. We must be very clear about this. But they would support even a goat to take over for Jonathan in 2015. There used to be an underground party that we called Anything But Jonathan. It's called ABJ. That was the prevailing reason at that time. Not because they thought Buhari would come up, but that just to shame and expunge from Nigeria the virus that Jonathan had become. And they spent money. They were carrying dollars all over the place to tradition. They bribed anything bribable, if there's a word like that. But they still lost the election. And that is what's going to happen to Buhari in 2019. And members of his cabal, they will lose. Somebody you asked a question about churches, and look, it's at every level. Our values have been eroded. We are talking about churches and mosques alone. What about the schools? Where even in primary school, they are cheating in exams. Secondary school, most people that you see in secondary school don't even believe in their own personal ability to pass anymore. Because those who did failed, and the people who didn't are the ones who are getting admission into universities. Become a standard practice, a complete erosion of our values. The country is lacking in heroes. The churches are not different. The mosques are not different. Even the traditional worship places are not different. Right? So it's not only the churches, it's just everything about Nigeria at this time is wrong. Right? Even the churches are starting to lie. Yesterday, probably you've seen some things that are saying that Deeper Life built a hospital. And it's false. It's false. There's no hospital anywhere with such facilities. None. We just investigated and came back about it.
Cathedral.
It was a cathedral for the church. It's not a hospital. But they didn't even stop the lie until we found out. And so churches have become, the church leaders, they're riding around in private jets, and they don't care about us. They don't care about anybody. Nigeria was hijacked by its greedy people. And you can never satisfy greed. It's not possible. If you give all the resources in Canada to greedy people, 5 of them in Nigeria will wipe it. If you put Nigerian leaders in this Toronto, you will not recognize Toronto in 6 months. It's true. So it doesn't matter, churches. So grassroots, I want to address that quickly. The thing they call grassroots politicking in Nigeria is the politics that you are condemning. When they say go and meet the grassroots. The grassroots are the people who collect salt, rice, ankara, and grinding machine and wheelbarrow from it. That's the meaning of grassroots politicking. And when you see that someone tells you that I'm a grassroots politician, it's the person who come and carry bags of rice from the house of the politician to go and distribute it. It's the one who comes back and gets guns and knives to go and enforce anybody that collected the rice from them. If they don't vote for them, they'll kill the person. That's what grassroots politicking means. What we are trying to do is to disrupt this whole political process. And when you say disrupt, it's actually a technical term for bypassing old and ragged and discredited and decrepit political systems. And we are succeeding at it. Because there are young people who could have done it. But you see, it is the market leader that politicians go to. You just give them, we want 3,000 votes. They will go and bring the 3,000 votes, whether it is rigged or not, they don't care. They call the leaders of the transport unions, boats, bikes, and taxis. They give them money, give them guns, machetes. They say we want 3,000 votes. That's what they call grassroots politicking in Nigeria. Otherwise, the other grassroots are people that we are reaching out to now. Let me tell you, don't be under any illusion that there's some old woman somewhere who doesn't have a cell phone, or somehow has information that they receive from electronic gadgets across the country. They do. So do not be worried about that. We are reaching the grassroots already. It's the reason why this Take It Back movement is very popular, both in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. Last question that I want to answer is, who are the people we are working with? Of course, there is no politician or political party anywhere in the world I can promise you that they can choose all their councillors or their House of Rep people or governors. What you do when you have a movement, movements are powered by passionate people. And when people are passionate, they will be out there doing what they can to take over political power. If I wait another 20 years to select everybody I want to work with, I cannot start this project. But what we need to do is to know that if you create the objective conditions and there's organic outrage, there are a lot of good people in Nigeria who are simply not allowed to do good because it cannot find partners across, from them. But when there's a seismic movement of this nature, it liberates everybody and you just find people shaking hands across from places you never knew could happen. This is the truth that we found in the course of traveling around the country. Everywhere we went to, people will just start their own Take It Back movement. They're getting back to us and they're growing. In fact, they're the ones who will point to us where to go next. So there's a huge network, and we've asked everybody that this is not just about Sowore. You have to go back and take whatever is takeable from the local governments to the federal level. Because what this is going to do is not just the election of good men into positions of authority, it's the on-election of so many of the bad guys that you are referring to in your question. And that is already happening. They are on the run. I'm not making this up. These guys are on the run. And some of the political parties that you think have structures have all imploded. You can imagine PDP is unable to recover no matter how many times they've apologized, and APC is about to explode. It's a matter of days, if not weeks, because it was not made up of any organic political activity. It's just a bunch of desperados who have one single goal: to go to the center, steal and share, and in the process of doing that, kill whoever can be killed, decimate whatever they can decimate, destroy whatever can be destroyed. And Nigerians have seen through that. So that would be the answer to the first four questions. Did I do well? Thank
you. The next questions, and before I do, my mic was on. So the next line of questions are going to be very brief, and will give us the privilege of answering them very quickly too. Because there's so many questions here on this table, even though we try to group them, but they're growing, so we're going to be short in our replies. And I also want to direct my attention to people who are watching the live streaming from all over the world. We have people asking questions from Germany, from Ethiopia, from China,
Yes.
all over the world. It's being watched right now. That is one of the tools. You all know Sahara Reporter, so you know how it's done. So, but we want to tell all of you who are watching online to please keep asking your questions. We're taking note of them and we're going to do justice to them here. So keep asking the questions online. We will have a time to answer them. Now, I'm going to call on the next two people. Omoda, if I don't get your name, please forgive me. Omodara and Olaide Alabi. Oh yes, you have to read the question that you wrote. If you do anything that is not in line with what you wrote, I will take it back.
This is the first question I want to ask. What are you going to do in the first 100 days when you get into office? I mean, in terms of the problems you have on the ground.
All right, thank you. The other question?
Thank you, the incoming president, for giving us this opportunity in Toronto, Canada. Thank you for coming. Omoyele Sowore is my name. How do you intend to diversify the economy from oil-based to tourism, agriculture, and the likes? Second one is, why don't we have a policy to reduce cost of doing business in Nigeria in the short term, as against the minimum wage of about 400% increase, which will become a new term. I hope you understand what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cost of doing business should be reduced in the short term. There are a lot of things going on in Nigeria. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I know what this means. From one point to the other, you try to move your goods from one point to the other. You have to spend a whole lot, and that transfers to the end cost of the product, and increases the cost of the product.
Thank you very much.
The easy way to talk about this is to understand that there are areas where we have to immediately declare a state of emergency. And I think security is number one. We have to stop the bloodletting in the country from herdsmen, from Boko Haram, kidnappers, and also the killings that is carried out by the government itself through its security forces. Something that we have to stop, and this will require that we re-equip our security forces, we retrain them, and also that a lot of the generals now who are keeping the war going because of profits, we relieve them of their responsibilities immediately. The reason this won't be a problem is that I know them already through my work as Sahara reporters. I know all the generals. You remember when we went to first to expose the chief of army staff who bought houses in Dubai. And that's where you know that President Buhari is not serious when he retains people like that who are compromised to be executing a war that requires integrity of the military officers that are doing that. I will declare a state of emergency in the area of power, electricity in particular. If we don't get it right with power, we are wasting our time. There's a lot of potential in Nigerian youth, Nigerian people. They're not even expecting employment from the government. But if we give them electricity, that will generate a lot of employment. But the other way to also look at it is also to immediately increase the energy mix in the country by bringing in solar, wind power, which you see around in Canada here. We can generate very quickly up to 4,500 megawatts of electricity through solar alone in northern Nigeria. And like I tell people, to put the pieces together alone would employ nothing less than 1 million young people, or 1 million people, period. And you can replicate the same in other parts of the country. You can have middle-level companies, electrical companies built, and you can have grids that are not complex to distribute with, which is what we benefit from in other parts of the world. And government leads telecommunication companies. Nigeria has the most expensive telecommunication infrastructure, and they make money, crazy money, but they have the worst service. When we were in Owerri, we couldn't transmit on Facebook, because the infrastructures are not there. Nobody is protecting the interests of Nigerians. We'll do so for health, because across Nigeria right now, people are dying of diseases that don't kill anywhere else anymore. And it's because our health system is completely broken down, and we can immediately employ 160,000 community health workers, well-trained, who can at least help people check their blood pressure so that they know where you're going. The situation where now we have now is that the moment you go to hospital, doctors don't even check what is wrong with you. They just pronounce that you have malaria automatically. And when the malaria doesn't go away, they will upgrade it to typhoid automatically after 6 days. And when you come back with typhoid after 6 days, they just refer you to a pastor. You know, like you better not say pastor because I think your people are now pursuing you. This is our health system in a nutshell. It might sound funny, but that is where the churches are waiting in the wings, you know, for doctors to refer people that you could have treated to them. But the leaders of the churches in our country are doing well. When they are sick, they don't go to, they travel abroad to take care of them. That's why they are very healthy. That's why they live long. But the church members, they just give them handkerchief, you know, anointing oil and things like that. I don't want to dabble into religion. It's a complex issue in Nigeria, but this is the truth. I don't want to. So health is an important priority for the first 100 days. Also education. The rest, people say, well, restructuring of Nigeria. I have my own position about that that's different from the way they are preaching it now. Because it depends on who you are asking about restructuring, they have a different answer for you. But the thing about restructuring that I've seen in Nigeria is that it's driven by the same old people. They are the ones who want to restructure Nigeria. But if you look at their history, they restructure Nigeria into their pockets. How do you expect them to now restructure it for you when they are 80 years old? You know, you can name them, you know them all over the place. So these are things that will be priority, is to quell the whole carnage that Nigeria has become, right? At the minimum, for those of you who are coming from, you know, the diaspora, we want the airport toilets to work. There are 4 of them in Lagos. You can imagine that Nigeria cannot maintain 4 toilets as its international airport. If you are waiting for your bag, you'll be out of breath because there's no air conditioning in the luggage area. I cannot understand it, you know, and I'm never going to accept that. I'm just saying that so that you know that it's also emergency for us to make the toilets work. It's just, but that's first 100 days. Diversification of economy, tourism, into tourism, agriculture. If you don't have security, forget about tourism. You are wasting your time. If Nigeria is not secure, there's nobody who's going to travel there. I tell it to those of you who are here, you know the truth in our houses. If you want to scare your children to do something for you, just tell them you are taking them to Nigeria. Anything you ask them to do, they will do it for you. Daddy, please don't take me to Nigeria. What do you want me to do? If you say go and sweep, they will sweep. If you say go and watch plays, they will watch. Because Nigeria is the only country that diasporans used to scare their children. No, there's no child who's been to Nigeria before with you that wants to go back another time. But tell the same children that you're taking them to Jamaica. They'll just be saying, Daddy, when are we leaving? But say, let's go to Nigeria. Because there's nothing in Nigeria that is encouraging to these kids. And it's a way to describe it. So for us to have tourism as a major industry that can bring in foreign currencies, as we call it, or investment, we have to fix our power sector, we have to fix our security sector, we have to fix infrastructure in that country. There's no point talking about tourism when you can't even get to the tourist centers from the airport. You know, if you have been to any tourism, if you know of any tourist center in Nigeria, the question is how do you get there? So I don't want to engage in this conversation about tourism without first solving the problem of infrastructure, security, and power. Because if this was Nigeria, since we started this conversation, we probably have seen light out twice already. NEPA would have just said, the off NEPA thing, you all know the story. Cost of doing business. That one is just the thing I say about Nigeria being run by people with analog brains, whereas we're in a digital era. But what are the things that drive up the cost of business? They are the same things I talked about. You know, security, power, infrastructure, of course corruption, and the economy can't work when each time you want to register a company, instead of you doing it in 2 hours, somebody will delay it for weeks or 4 months because you have not paid an official a bribe. You all know what you go through at the airport. You cannot come in without somebody harassing you for what did you bring for us. Yeah. When you are leaving, even the combo egusi that you are taking with you, will seize it. They will seize your dry fish, seize all the things because you wouldn't bribe them. Until you resolve those issues. Some of you must have seen on Facebook, I do something each time I'm leaving Nigeria. I didn't do it in this last week because they've known me very well now. If I'm leaving the airport, I will record the officials as they are demanding for bribe and put it on YouTube. So, but they've known me now. But they still do it. You have to clean up that access. You have to clean up a lot of things, and only someone who's gotten the understanding of how things work. I mean, I'm talking about exposure now, can do that, and who is also confronted the cabals that are behind why things don't work. And we are the only ones that can do it. And I see and ask and always say to people, if only Nigeria can work like Ghana, 30% of us will be heading back home the next day. Because I'm sure we're tired of this place. I know what you are going through. I know that the Western Union life you live is not what you chose to do. But so many of you came here thinking you spent two weeks, it's become 20 years now. Or you still have no idea when you are heading back home. That's our reality. I'm not an outsider talking to you. We can tell ourselves the truth now. So, but I'm sure you want to go back home. But so many of you are also struggling. You are making investment at home to create some small business, to do this, but you know the frustration. I give my example, I give my own personal example. Last year, I went and set up Sahara Reporters. Before then, Sahara Reporters had been in existence for 12 years in the US. I was sued several times, 4 times, but no judge ever gave a judgment to me that they should shut down Sahara Reporters. I won all the cases in the US. The moment I entered Nigeria, launched Sahara Reporters Foundation with Shoyinka in attendance, Femi Fala, and all those cool people, I got attacked physically. I got protests in front of the office by people sponsored by people in government. The Senate president went and obtained a judgment in Ilorin, that is real estate, they call Kwara, and they froze all my accounts. Within 3 months that I arrived in Nigeria with Sahara Reporters, the entire business had been taken over. So you imagine what Nigerians are going through. You have all these ideas, you walk into the place, they will just kill the idea, or they steal it from you. But those who are smart, quote unquote, are those diasporans who go and play the game, and they come back. You know them around in Canada. They come back and they are, before you know, somebody who was driving taxi before will be driving Rolls Royce. Yeah, because they've gone home and played the game according to the way it is played. How do they do it? They help them launder money. I heard Toronto is a place where there's a lot of money laundering for politicians. Yes, so you can be rest assured that when I become president, you'll hear from me.
Thank you, our country, our future.
All right. Thank you so much. I like the energy here. We're going to continue with the questions, and I'll call on Mr. Rua Fossi, Matthew or Martins. Are you here? And then the other person will be the chairperson of the Nigerian Canadian Association. Kemi Amusan.
Thank all the organizers of this program. Thank you for coming. First of all, you've been saying that you've been going around without security and everything is going fine. You need to change that, because we cannot afford, now that we have someone that we see as hope, we cannot afford the enemies. It's not everybody that we love you. Now, what are you going to do different? We have the same hope in Adams Oshiomhole. Today, Adams Oshiomhole has airlines I had. He has so many things that in the lifetime of 1 million people, we cannot generate that from. How did you come about that money? Are you doing the same thing to us? Or actually, the whole Nigerian community here in Toronto where you are now, and here in Canada and in Diaspora, do we actually have hope in you, and we can work vigorously and get you there, because you have to be the next president of Nigeria.
I thank you so much for just energizing the room with those definitive statements. I want to address that of Adams Oshiomhole, because I've never had to speak about Adams Oshiomhole before publicly. But when I heard that Nigerians were following Adams Oshiomhole when he became Labour leader, I cautioned a lot of people. Something you should know about Adams Oshiomhole is that he was the only Labour leader, and this is where you should be having your suspicion, who was not arrested under the military. No one-day in detention. Because, yes, and he lived in Abuja, he didn't go on exile. That means he was very cozy with people in power under military rule. So when you have people like that, you should understand their pedigree. Even me, as small as I was, student union leader at the University of Lagos, there's a young black person here, they used to arrest, and detention was my revolving door. They bring me back, the next day, they try to get me arrested. I've been to prison everywhere in Nigeria, across Nigeria. Adams Oshiomhole, you cannot find anywhere that Adams was arrested under Babangida, under Abacha. So that should tell you the kind of person Adams has always been. In my own case, I have always been like this. I know I'm the only person who can declare his assets today if you want it. I have a house, a mortgage in New Jersey, and one house in my village. I have maybe 2-3 used cars in Nigeria. That's all I have. My bank account, I can screenshot it and send it to you anytime you want. Probably today it has $97 because I'm spending a lot of money on this election. By the way, I'm getting a lot of support from Nigerians who are donating through GoFundMe to our campaign. But we're using that money to reach out to more Nigerians. But Adams Oshiomhole has always been like this. The place to find Adams under military rule, when I first met him in person, he was at the party. Doing what he loves to do very well, which some of you know about. I don't want to say that publicly. And I was like, how could a Labour leader be so free and be partying in Abuja when all of us were hiding? Adams Oshiomhole was in Abuja. He was also part of the people that Abacha selected to be part of his constitutional conference. If they don't trust you in those days, they will never let you be in the constitutional conference. So he has always been a friend of people in power. And even under Obasanjo, what I heard he used to do would be to call a strike. You meet Obasanjo first and they will increase fuel price to say 170. But what they actually want to do is 140. So he then go and meet, they will call Obasanjo, they will strike for 2 days, then they will be using, everybody will be clapping for him. And that's how he became a Edo State governor, by fooling people through all those processes. My life has been public, you know what I do, Sahara Reporters for 12 years, and there's nobody within Nigeria that I did not fight. To the extent that I'm happy to introduce myself as an equal opportunity offender on behalf of people in Nigeria. So we mentioned security. Yes, we would like to strengthen security, but it's also important to understand that Nigeria has no security. Sometimes when you are being accompanied by policemen, it's actually better to just carry armed robbers with you or kidnappers. Those ones at least know you, that they are not kidnapping you. But police is the kind of people that will tell the kidnappers that meet us at social place like Mr. Sowore, and that's Nigeria for you. But I believe that if the people can buy into your agenda, they will protect you. We had a minor issue when we were in Kano. As we were leaving the Emir's palace, they went and hired some, we call them Amajiri, how to give them posters quickly, we don't watch Sowore, and things like that, But they are hired because they put the posters upside down. So we quickly went there and distributed our posters. They didn't know the difference, and we left. Because within that period, the confusion set in because they didn't know what they were doing. But they were afraid of us, even though we were in their territory. They were afraid. They were afraid not of the guns we were carrying, but the power of the ideas we have come to spread in the north. You say, there's a whole lot of hope. I have hope, not just in myself, I have hope in you, I have hope in everybody in this room that is sitting here when you should have been at an Owambe, partying away on a Saturday afternoon. Yes, look, this same city that you have you sitting down discussing the future, it used to be where some of the governors of Nigeria would come and people would go and buy table to listen to, even though they know they are thieves. But that era is gone. That's why there's a change that, that's why we have you sitting here waiting for hours to listen to these new ideas we're spreading. The point I'm making is that there's no point allocating any titles to someone and say he's a savior. Anybody could have done what I'm doing here in this crowd. It's just that I'm decided and I'm going to step forward. And like I would say to people, if you let me, I'm going to go home and prepare a place for you to come back to. You love to call yourself Canadian Americans, and Nigerian Americans or Nigerian Canadians. Bottom line is that there's nothing like home. Even the idea of just waking up in the morning and like you see that sun ray go into your window, it kills depression. And here the weather causes depression.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Put your hands together for me. I think so far so good. Let me ask you let me do a very quick one. By a show of your hands, how many of you, if we were to conduct an election right now, will vote for Mr. Sowore? Let me see your hands.
Take it back.
Okay, just 20%. Let's see what you have. You have just 20%. You need to do more work. All right, we're doing well. I'm going to call on Mr. Sherif, and we're going to start timing the questions and the answers. We're going to help you, Mr. President.
Yes.
So we will take 2 minutes to answer every question. You will be quick in answering. Please read the question.
Sharif, I'm actually from Makoka area. And,
yes, you told me yesterday.
Yeah. To confirm to his story earlier about him fighting cult guys back in those days, yes, that actually happened. I witnessed it. This guy risked his life. My question ties around the judiciary system in Nigeria. We all live in Canada and the US here, and we know you don't joke with the judiciary system here. Most of these looters and leaders in Nigeria are walking about freely because our judiciary system is just corrupt.
Yes.
Now, what do you plan to do differently about that?
You mentioned the US and Canada and how the judiciaries work. And something that I've seen in the judiciary here is that when judges are corrupt, you don't make them the Chief Justice of the US, if there's any evidence. The police will treat a judge as a common criminal, as they will treat a common criminal if they are found wanting. But in Nigeria, all the judges there was a panel set up, I think it was under, I don't remember the particular government, but it was headed by Justice Esho late. And they named all the judges that were involved in corruption and asked that for Nigeria to have a progressive, fearless, and fair and just judicial system, they should remove all those judges. Nobody touched any one of them. So we've gotten to a point now where judges are exchanging judgments over text messages. Yes, if a senior lawyer, all these people they call senior advocates of Nigeria, only a few of them can win a case without meeting the judge. They have back channels through which they meet these judges. There's a lot of cases, some of them reported by us, of when judges will be given money by lawyers. The one that stands out in my mind the most is one judge of, I think his name is Fishin Ababu, judge of the Nigerian Industrial Court. A lawyer was giving him money. He will ask for so much money from the lawyer. When his mother died, he went to the lawyer, gave him money for his mother. When the brother-in-law died, gave him money for the brother-in-law. When his wife's sister died, gave. So when he asked the lawyer one more time, said, please, I need money. The lawyer now gave him so much money. He now said, but I only asked for 250,000, you give me 700,000. The lawyer said, it is to cover any one of your relatives that might die in the future. Just take it in advance.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. All right, the next question is going to be, oh wow, it's going to be Bosede. Are you here? Okay, please go to the other microphone. Victor Ofimu, and finally, Toby Edu. Toby, are you here? You can come this side. Okay, please ask your questions directly. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon to you. My question is, how do you intend to bring change to the educational system in Nigeria, considering the fact that our youth no longer believe in going to school? Instead, they want to make instant or quick money. So how do you want to bring the change?
My name is Victor Ofemo. I also happen to attend the University of Lagos. Yeah. My question is this. Every year, Nigerians in diaspora contribute about 22 billion to Nigerian GDP.
35 billion is what it is.
And even so, the franchise of Nigerian diaspora is taken away by bad legislation in Nigeria. How do you intend to, by ensuring that they don't have the right to vote in wherever they are outside Nigeria? So if voted into power, how soon can you ensure that Nigerians in diaspora have
the right to vote?
Thank you.
My name is Toby Edwin. I'm the outgoing president of the Nigerian Students Association at EFT.
I think we should all have together. Thank you. Toby worked so hard. You know, he was supposed to stop at the university yesterday, but their flight came in very late. But Toby had worked so hard to organize the students, and they were waiting. But when the flight was cancelled, it was late.
Air Canada is like Eric.
So my question is related to diaspora. So how will you encourage diaspora students and professionals to be more involved in developments in Nigeria? And I just want to know more about your story. What was your motivation for giving back? And what impact do you want to leave behind when you serve as president?
I want to start with the one about the educational system, just to correct the impression that it's not as if Nigerians don't want to go to school. In fact, the records we have is that more people want to go to school than Nigeria is providing them educational opportunities for. There are about, I think, I may not be completely correct or accurate because it's very hard to find accurate figures from Nigeria. About 5 million students who write with the National Examination Entrance for University, what is called JAMB, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board exams every year, and Nigeria is only able to provide, I think, space for 5,000. So you have these young people aspiring to go to school. And I mentioned to you that even in the north, where we think people don't want to go to school, women there are saying they want to send their children to school. But here's the problem. Nobody's making investment in education. Zamfara, this year, only had, I think, 27 students writing WAEC, the whole of Zamfara state. But the governor of Zamfara has a 350,000, I think it's about almost $1 million house in Maryland. They spend money on pilgrimage every year, billions, to send people to go and visit Mecca and back. Some other states spend for people to go and visit Israel and back. The investment in education is not there. We don't have investment in teachers. We don't train teachers anymore. We just allow the education system to be on autopilot. And you are left with students who are fending for themselves. We just had our brother here come up and say that he was the outgoing president of the Nigerian students in the area, one of these colleges here. You find Nigerian students who are coming directly from Nigeria, competing anywhere in the world with the limited resources they've had, limited education they've had. The moment they're given the opportunity, you'll be surprised at how well they can compete. And in the US, apart from Indians, Nigerians are the most educated immigrants. So we just have to make a deliberate investment in education and invest in new school buildings or fixing the ones that are there. I want to create, for example, community colleges in all the local governments so that people who don't want to go to university or who can't go to university can have an associate degree that can help them power their local government as clerks, as advisors or accountants or bookkeepers. We have to deliberately invest in education. I was telling somebody on our way here that we no longer need libraries with books. We need notebooks with libraries. So how do we get into the hands of our kids? I'm sure your kids go to school here. By the time they're in the second year, they're introducing them on how to use computers. Our university professors in our universities, some of them don't know how to open email addresses, right? It's the truth. And you expect them to create or educate the next generation of students. You are wasting your time. But good news is that my father died as a teacher. I also moonlight as a teacher. I've been teaching for 10 years in the US as an associate professor, adjunct professor of post-colonial African history. One of the things that they tell me outrightly from day one is you cannot have more than 14 students in your classroom. It doesn't matter how many people are interested. Because that matters, that without the classroom size being broken up, you cannot teach people. When you go to the University of Lagos, where I graduated from, it's a shame. You can't find a toilet you can use most likely anywhere, except maybe the Vice Chancellor's office or the registrar. And you find classrooms where students are sitting on the ground to learn. We have to make those investments, deliberate investment in education. And that means that monies that we are wasting on senators that are adding no value to our country could be invested in education so that buildings can spring up, infrastructure can technology can play a major role in our education system. It's not everybody that should be in the classroom. There should be a way, a country that has 5 million people who are looking for admission to also do online courses that are legitimate. So many of you are doing it here. There are people who are obtaining degrees here without touching the university walls, right? And the same thing can happen in Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians are obtaining certification online. So why is it that we can't have a way to diversify how we train? But again, it boils down to leadership. You cannot have analog thinking leaders running a digital society.
Take it back!
Right to vote for Diaspora, take it for granted. That is the first gift you get from me as soon as we're sworn in on May 29th, 2019. Diaspora voting is a must. You'll be given the right to vote. It will then be up to you to use those rights as you want. There's no reason why. The diaspora of Nigeria is the biggest foreign investor in Nigeria today. You see, they'll tell you that you will get 35 billion, but this is what my experience is, having lived here for 19 years. When you want to send real money, you don't send it through Western Union. Yes. You go to the airport to look for a friend you can trust. When you are sending anything more than 3,000, 10,000, when you're going to 10,000, you look for somewhere to take it. So if you calculate the help me take it home investment, you are talking about $50 billion easily. Because there are people who send $50,000 through there, or they carry the money down themselves. Because the moment you go to Western Union twice within a month and you're sending more than 3,000, they're asking you questions. And it's your money. Because they don't want money to flow out of here. You can walk all you want. America, Canada don't want your money to leave this place. They want to keep it here. So it's the reason why we must place priority attention to the diaspora, so that not only do we continue to get from them, but we offer them the protection they deserve to be able to operate openly and safely in Nigeria. And who better can do it than one of you? I don't want people who are listening to us to say that they want to come and impose the diaspora. That's not the agenda. Diaspora students, you ask questions about students. How can we incentivize them to come home? Same thing. We have to make Nigeria a livable and safe space to go to. I'm sure if you are asked where would you like to do your study leave between Ghana and Nigeria, where would you go?
Personally, I'm motivated to go back to Nigeria to do.
Motivation is not enough. I'm saying it's a direct question. If you are to ask to go to Ghana to do study abroad and Nigeria, most people will go to Ghana because you know that you are likely to be safe there and you have electricity. But where would you want to go? Nigeria. But then you got to worry about kidnappers just picking you up between the airport and your first destination. It's not almost always true, but that is some of the realities we face.
All right, thank you very much. Put your hands together for your I'm calling on Ademola Ilesami and Adejare and Babatunde Yusuf. If all of you are here, could you please step forward?
Thank you very much. My name is Adejare. I'm also graduated from the and I was student in council. My first question is this.
Only you need like people. Great lions and lionesses. Great lions and lionesses. Great. Okay. This UNN, just in case you guys don't.
Aside from that, I also graduated from Seneca College, and the last president, the female president, I was a strong supporter for her. She's white, and she can never forget me till now. Okay, my question goes thus. My first question is this. What are your strategies in place to penetrate the grassroots? Because I know the grassroots is very key, and you'll be going everywhere, but at the same time, the team. I just wanted to elaborate on that. We've had activists. The last time I remember, I was in a place where Dino was talking, and before he was elected in the Senate, and he mentioned a lot of things about that. But when he became senator, it's a different story. And the mindset of people, Nigerians all over the world is all these activists, including Shomole, when they get to the position, they forget what they've said in the past. Right now, you are seeking the position of president. What distinguishes you from others so that we know you are a real activist and you're going to do what you promised to do when you get to the position?
My question goes to our next coming president. How are you going to deal with Fulani herdsmen and the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria?
The questions that you wrote, we'll just take one question. We have people online asking questions by now, they are cussing us. And there are people that came later that we want to also give a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. My name is Omoyele Sowore. I also came to this country 2 years ago to study here. I am an resident of Canada in my family. So actually, I don't have a question like that. I just have a solution advice. There is a picture of yours going on online, and I just want to advise you to just please avoid that. This campaign is to take back Nigeria. Is not. We really know this. Somebody, a clownish character like Fayoshe should not be a role model in this campaign. Please avoid that because I saw the picture.
What is the picture?
I saw a picture of you online pushing through that.
Okay, so let me help you. No. See, no. I did as a moderator. The reason why I need to take the mic is because things that have been done. He did a video explaining that. So I'll advise you, yes, go online on your phone and then, so because he won't repeat it here, but I've taken the other questions and you do understand.
You know why I'm taking this up? Okay, there are some people online that we used to know them as Waridins. So for everything they try to throw against them, we sit up to them, fight them. So I don't want them to have a chance to have something to say against us. So that's why I'm just stating this. Just avoid that. Fact is not our role model in this campaign. We don't want to.
Thank you very much.
I will start with the suggestion. Thank you very much for the suggestion. If there's a video of me, you find several videos of me doing all kinds of things. Fayose cannot be my role model. What happened was I went to Onitsha, campaigning on the streets, and this woman was carrying a wheelbarrow made of fruits. And she saw us and became excited and collected our posters and was distributing our behalf. She forgot her wheelbarrow with us. When she came back, this whole thing about we are not lazy came up. She said, I'm not lazy, look at me. I am pushing wheelbarrow to survive instead of stealing or doing prostitution. So, and she was the one who requested, we said, Oga, I have helped you to distribute your posters. Please, you have to help me push my wares too, if you are going to be president that I can trust. Because sometimes people just want to touch their leaders. They want to make them, feel like, they want to feel like after you leave, after you leave that campaign, that they can hold on to something that is memorable about them. But the other thing is that I've also uploaded videos of me when I was in contest as far back as 2015. Also, I went to the construction site and I helped people push, just to see how they feel, because that's how I advocate for better governance, being in touch with reality. I've also been an accident scenes before and carried accident victims, not because I want to contest for election, but that's also me. When I was at the University of Lagos, we used to have a small problem. There would be traffic at Yaba and the students wouldn't be able to get to school on time. I would drive the student union bus down personally to bring the students, especially on Sundays when they are returning home. That's my nature. It has nothing to do with Fayose, but I understand the cynical nature of politics that people expect a different standard. So I take your advice very seriously. Thank you very much for that. This strategy to penetrate the grassroots is a question that's coming up a lot again. My understanding of grassroots politicking is the Amala style, that a guy in Ibadan, Chibadedibu, is the best known grassroots politician in Nigeria at the point. But what is his grassroots politics? They will make food, people come around, eat, and then whomever they ask them to vote for, they vote for. But I'm saying we should also do that differently this time around by disrupting that network of, a political system that's driven by the alimentary canal as opposed to the heart and our head. So I'm going all out. And by the way, please, you must make it a standard that all presidential candidates go through what I'm going through in front of you today. Yes. Let's decide that anybody that has not done a town hall meeting to have close engagement will not even qualify to be a candidate. Or anybody that cannot debate will not be our presidential candidate. One of the things I'm challenging them to, people like Buhari and Atiku, I want to debate. I can't wait to debate these guys so that we can win the election before the election. Can you imagine me and Buhari side by side? It will be very interesting. We were going to debate them. So the grassroots is not a fortress of ignorance. The grassroots is a place for engagement for people who want progress for themselves too. And a lot of people are smarter now in Nigeria. What I'm saying is that we will go to every length. You are also grassroots for us, because after you leave this place and if you are convinced, you are going to call somebody in Nigeria and say, look, I saw Sowore'S speak and I think he should be our next president. And if the person is your mother in Umudike or your father in Boko or Kaduna, wherever they may be, activists in government, please, when you are talking about activists, there are some names you should not mention. And the fellow you mentioned, his name was never an activist. Yes. So when you talk about activists, talk about Mandela. Those are real activists. And they came to the government house and they did what activists do. When the ovation is loudest, they leave. See, if Buhari were to be an activist and a statesman, he would not be contested to be president of Nigeria at the age of 80 something, because he's not 75. That's another lie. Like, we found out the other day that his younger sister just did 82 years birthday. Buhari is 75. No, I'm not making this up. It's true. It's the truth. So, these activists you are talking about, they're not activists at all. Think about people like Obama. They were activists, community organizers. They've been fighting for the rights of ordinary people. You can just look at my past. You see my colleagues from UNLAG testifying to my very, very incredibly difficult life. I was expelled twice from the University of Lagos. I usually used to tell a story and I'll repeat it quickly. When I was a student union leader in 1992, Babangida was bribing anything that moves. Babangida. And they came to me and offered me a 505 car. Anybody heard about Peugeot 505? Yes. So to convince me that I was special status, they gave me the one they call GT. It's the one that has air conditioning and it has like a plastic at the back that makes it to have the names that Yoruba call it the 505 Ikebe. The one that has an elevated backyard. And when I asked the guy, I said, how long can this one last? He said, no worry, in 3 years we'll get another one. I said, in 3 years your Babangida will be history. And I, of course, drove him out of that encounter. Went back a few years later after I stayed in America for about 5 years. And I asked my brother where we were going to. I said, do you see 505 around? He said, what car is that? I said, it's Peugeot 505. As if luck was on our side, we saw one carrying a Wedu. Like, it doesn't even have a roof anymore. Those cars don't exist anymore. So you can imagine if I mortgaged my integrity for a 505 in 1992, where would I be today?
Now, before I go ahead to answer my question, please, every person that is here, you have been hearing this young man speaking to us in a very passionate and being able to understand what the system is. Are you able to give him the support we've been asking for? Yes. Because a change can only start from a day, and a change can only start from a person. Nigeria has always been a place where we have divided ourselves through ethnic lines, but we align to ourselves. A country so strong, mightily built, heavily invested by God with resources, is languishing under authorities of ill, I'll call them criminals, because we have elected criminals into the government of Nigeria, and we have been battling with it over years, and they are taking position in Nigerian government. We need to understand this. It will take a lot to dislodge them. It will take your courage and my courage to dislodge these people. Okay, let me ask my questions. My question dealt so much on corruption. I may not have to read it. I'll say it from my heart, from my mind. Every day they post something about corruption in Nigeria, I pull it from the online, I save it on my file. If you want it, I can bring it to you. So, listen to me. If you are elected tomorrow, come May 29th, how will you solve corruption problem? Because corruption has become endemic with us. The children in the school, their language is corruption. The pastors in the church, their language is corruption. It's a culture. It's not just about the people. It's a culture we have embraced. So how do you change this culture from becoming what it is today to change into something else? That means it requires a lot of reactive action. What kind of Nigeria are you hoping to build? We have seen 21st century civilization going on all over the world, and we have seen ourselves they're supposed to be the top black country in the world and the strongest power of the black representative in the earth. We are still lacking to come up to age. What kind of Nigeria are you planning to build? And I want you to, when you are planning to build this paper, please look for best brains that will be part of it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes.
My name is Adiari.
Okay.
Questions to ask you. Number one is, when are you going to release the manifesto? want a situation whereby someone will tell us one naira equals to $1. At the end of the day, we don't know the story. Also, I don't want a situation whereby someone's going to tell us that creating power is not a rocket science. We still know what is happening back home right now. Also, there's this trend going on online now that we've all paid our dues and we decide from our colleagues. We've paid our dues and we decide from our colleagues. However, I think this is the time to actually pay our dues to make sure this guy becomes the next president. If your VP, I don't know whoever you need to select as VP, if your VP is cross, what will you do? We've seen receipts flying some years back when Mr. Katrina and Twin, you know what we're talking about. What will you do? And I noticed that, well, it's known that destructive ideas is in trend right now. Sarah is one of the destructive ideas in the media space. How will you make Nigeria, all Nigerians, to be the destructive country in the whole of Africa, technological-wise? And also, are you engaging with core professionals in the medical space, in IT space? Are you engaging them to ensure that what happened in India, we can all testify to the fact that anywhere in most countries in North America, IT space are ruled by the Indians. And I know because I also am an IT security professional. I see that they are not better than us in IT. I'm a testimony to that. What will you do?
Thank you very much. Before you answer, I want to quickly pass this information handed by the chairperson of the Nigerian Canadian Association. I'm inviting you to Nigerian Canadian Association meeting tomorrow at Crown Plaza Hotel, 33 Carlson Court, Toronto, Ontario, M9W685, Kilami Hall. So please, if you want to be more proactive and participate in what is going on, NCA is a very good place to start. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for the great questions. Again, I urge you not to relent. When I'm not here, I'm usually online, transparently revealing my location and also talking to Nigerians virtually. Stanley, thank you for your question. I want to make some clarification. I've always been against PDP and done everything I could to ensure that PDP was removed because at the point the PDP became a virus within the Nigerian body politic, and there is nobody that is not aware that I'm against PDP and their brand of politics. As a result, I have fought against people like what's the old man that died in Ibadan, Adelibu, fought against Fayose, fought against Alawa Akala. You can count all of them, we've been after all of them. The part that you labored very hard to make is my connection with Tinubu, and I think today is a good point to clarify. And I say that I don't have any connection with Tinubu. I was shot into limelight at the same time that Tinubu was shot into limelight. Tinubu was a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1992. After Babangida packaged that his transition program, I was the president of the University of Lagos Student Union. When they annulled the election, was the time we came in. If you're a student during our own time in the 90s, we actually did not believe in Babangida's transition program. And we said it because we knew that it would not go anywhere. Babangida was named Maradona because people knew that he was a liar and a deceiver. And we fought against it. But the moment they shot themselves in the foot by allowing Abiola to be elected, we stood up and rose and fought it. Let me shock you with another thing. When Mandela came to the University of Lagos, I think around 92 as well, thereabout, and Abiola accompanied him to the University of Lagos campus. You know how the campuses are volatile. We drove him out. He ran away without taking his hat with him. The students collected the hat. because we had linked in with corruption over time. But when this issue came up, I would say to you that when we will go to meetings, if there's a sitting arrangement for activists, Tinubu is behind me. You know, I don't believe in religion, otherwise I would have said that. I've said this before, man and God. We were so powerful in our days, even though we were young people, that we were recognized for our bravery, not our age. Tinubu is definitely older than me, but Tinubu has never been more prominent than I am. In the 90s, if you go online, you see a video circulating. I was standing behind MK Abiola in 1993.
That day I was outside that.
Exactly. So, you can imagine, we were there to tell him to discard the politicians who were burdened to him. Because of that, when we went inside, we saw all of them collecting money. And we told Abiola, these people will betray you. So, when Tinubu them left to come and form Nadeco abroad, we stayed in Nigeria. I didn't leave Nigeria until 1999. We didn't go anywhere until the military fell. So when you're talking about if I was in the army, I would be a general and Tinubu would be a colonel. I'm older, but in terms of ability to fight for what I believe, I'm better than him in that regard. But what happened is that in 1999, the moment they saw the opening, they came back from abroad. They didn't even ask to see Abiola before they met with the military leader at that time, Salam. And Abiola was killed the next day. But here is the truth. The pro-democracy movement, good people like you and I did not take the opportunity in 1999 when it came to us. We still ignored it and allowed riffraffs to take over the democratic space. And when the likes of Gani now came in 2003, they had already consolidated their hold on power. And Gani was barely able to get 50,000 votes, even though the man came before his time. Nigerians were asking, as they say in the Bible, that they want to vote for Barabbas, which was Obasanjo. When they had the Jesus Christ Gani, they said, give us Barabbas. And that is the country that you have now. But to address the Tinubu thing, I've only met Tinubu once in my life. And that was in 1999 before I left. I was in company of one Dr. Fashion, who was OPC leader. And Tinubu was passing by with Obani Koro, this same Obani Koro. They were canvassing for votes. And they said, this is Tinubu. Tinubu was wearing sandals. Yes, his leg with ashes, he was been roaming around. And at that time, he didn't even have money. I left Nigeria in 1999 because I knew the transition program would not deliver anything to. And of course, I had become sick, at that point. So I did not go back to Nigeria until 2004. So all the time that Tinubu was governor for 4 years, I wasn't in Nigeria. So I couldn't have met him. And in 2000, I think around when I started Sahara Reporters, one of the cases and report I did, which you can Google and find out, was to go and dig out Tinubu's drug history in Chicago. Yes, how they were carrying drugs and selling drugs. It's on Sahara Reporters, you can find the documentation there, so that the people of Lagos will not vote for him. But they ignored it. Gani found out that Tinubu didn't have certificate. They ignored him. The Toronto, was it Toronto? No, Toronto was the speaker, but there's a Chicago certificate scandal. So, when people, and then Jonathan and his people started cooking up the story that I'm working for Tinubu simply because they couldn't bribe me. Between Tinubu and Jonathan, who bribes more? Tinubu does, Jonathan does, but Jonathan had a federal purse. But this is where I will shock you, Stanley. When Jonathan was denied his mandate to become president, when the Yaradua people were playing games, he fell upon me and others working as our reporters to fight every day to let Jonathan become president. You can verify that. And when it was over, he sent Oronto Douglas to me that whatever I wanted, I should ask him, that he should ask me to pack my things and come to Nigeria. I told him, I said, I don't have the tolerance or temperament to work in government because I will say my mind and you drive me out the next day. If you can do us a favor, govern Nigeria so well. Do you know what Jonathan's first act in office was? The wife took the presidential jet to Lebanon with a woman called Bola Shagaya to go and buy gold. That was my first report on him, and he got upset with me. After that, he sent a guy called Imani Boro. That was said, Jonathan is in this thing, he's asked me to come and see you. Just so that you understand the period, was the period there was ash in the skies in America. So I told him I'm going to California. When I came back, he still is still in town because the ash would not allow him to fly back. You know, it was a volcanic ash. Yeah. And he said, but Mr. President said I should come and give you something. I said, what? Because I'm taking pains to expose these things to you because sometimes it hurts me. But I understand it, that Nigerians, every time they see the truth, they will go with what is false. And the truth in my case is that you've known me for 10 years. You think the federal government of Nigeria will know that I have a relationship with Tinubu, they won't be able to produce a telephone conversation with me and him. Or with all the security apparatus in the country, they can't find where I'm meeting with him and collecting money, as they say. No, the reason I'm able to do what I do is that I don't give a damn about any one of them. When the Buhari people came and they started messing up, the first reporting about how they were hiring in the CBN and through the back end was provided by Sahara reporters. The first report on how the chief of army staff was buying houses in Dubai was provided by Sahara reporters. Even the letter, the report about the wife complaining about the cabal inside this thing was provided by. The first reporting on the fact that Buhari was sick and was tendering to his health was provided by Sahara reporters. The first reporting about the 500 million naira they collected from MTN to do the MTN deal. I can keep counting and counting what we have done. You think if you had any relationship with them, they won't be able to say, oh, you used to work for us. This is how we pay you. They will expose us. But guess what? Sahara reporters doesn't even accept adverts from the government, any government agency for that matter. Because our position is clear. If you are a government and you are doing well, your work will advertise itself. Why should you be going to newspaper to go and be writing, to God be the glory, we have just constructed the tunnel here. To God be the glory, we just constructed the road here. It's all nonsense. Or you find journalists who go around collecting money from governors. They say they are doing constituency and they are doing project tours. How can a journalist know a road that has just, even if it's carpet they put on the road and claim that it's been done? Would you know? You are not an engineer. What's your business going around inspecting projects? So that is just to explain to you that it is fallacious that I have any relationship with Bola Tinubu, and anybody who says otherwise, I challenge them, because I'm speaking before the world, to present the evidence to anywhere, anybody and anywhere in the world. Thank you so much. So I don't want you to keep repeating the same thing. I know that I'm not able to defend myself everywhere, but I want you to be on record today that I challenge anyone who has ever seen me. In fact, I think if I fall on top of Tinubu, he will not recognize me. Of course, if he falls on top of me, I will dodge him and he'll crash. There's no question about that, because I know him. And I know that he's part and parcel of the corrupt political establishment in the country. So why would I have anything to do? They are the people I'm planning to dislodge. The Tinubus of this world. It's not only, what is that is sad, is, we're not even talking about them enough. If you know what these guys have done to Lagos State, the land that is meant for the university, Polytechnic in Lagos, where he built his TVC, to the TV station that he owns. He owns part of Lagos State. But if you don't put a president in place that can challenge people like that, you are wasting your time. Because his corruption is in the open. But he has been able to cover it up using his own political power and also by controlling the media. If you want to know people who are Tinubu's friends, go to the media. He controls the entire, you can't write anything against him. Because he gave them land in Lagos, built houses for some of them. Like I told you, the first thing I did at this event is to declare my assets. I have nothing. If I die today, I worry for my children. They have nothing but my mortgage to inherit. Because I know they are not going to the village in Nigeria anytime soon. Let's discuss the issue of accolades. Fantastic. People are talking about accolades, but be careful. Accolades can also, there's a way we undermine this you are lazy thing that it becomes a joke. Because if we don't vote these guys out next year, all the accolades we are looking for will become Kool-Aid. That's the truth. Manifesto is we've already released what we call SPICER, HE, which is our 8-point agenda, which will form a bigger portion of our manifesto. And that's what I discussed earlier with security, power, infrastructure, anti-corruption, economy and restructuring, health and education. So our manifesto is very clear. The priority areas are very clear. Others will follow. But we will release a website that will contain all of the documentation that you want in a very digestible way. One thing I noticed about Nigeria is that the politicians know how to hide things from them. They know that we don't read too much. It's not even a Nigerian thing. There's a general attention deficit disorder in the world. People don't, there's too much thrown at you. So if I really want to bog you down, so go and produce long manifestos that I know you'll never read. Because you don't have the time. But we're going to break it down in very simple ways, and you see it on the website as soon as it's launched. If my VP is corrupt, what am I going to do? I'm going to be the chief whistleblower of Nigeria. I will not whistle on anybody that's corrupt. I don't hide it. They know that that's what I do now, and I'll be doing it. So I will be the first to call reporters and say, look, we just found out the VP stole. And I expect if I steal, the VP will also do the same thing against me as president. And that is where you can get proper identification of people who are serious about governance in Nigeria. That nobody should be afraid to expose anybody in the country. Our technology, I thank you, brother, for saying that we can compete with it. I know there's nobody who's in doubt that Nigerians can compete anywhere in the world. We're the one who had a doctor who can take a baby out of the belly, fix the baby and put it, the last time they did that was in the Bible. Yes, and Nigerian is doing it now. That's what they call miracle. But how do we bring this technology home? We have to create the enabling environment for it. As I say everywhere, oil is lazy economy. It's not even part of my agenda to use oil revenues to develop Nigeria. I want to tap into the potential that Nigerians have, their innovative and creative abilities. And technology is where that will happen. The companies that are selling the highest IPOs are not oil companies. I don't even think oil companies come close to the first 10 companies that are doing well now in the world. It's Facebook and Apple that are doing it. And guess what? There's no device that is made that I can't find in Nigeria. When people want to make you feel bad, they will ask you to buy a phone. And when you ask them to describe the phone, you know that you've never seen it before, except you go on Google. Because Nigerians love, technology, and they just can't wait to participate in also creating technological devices or participate in the world of technology. But we'll create the opportunity for it. So we've been standing for how long? Very good. You see, it's why you need a president who will not collapse after 3 years.
We're almost done. You're doing well, sir. We have online viewers. 2 questions from them. It says, his name is Man of God. It says, do you have any accounts in Nigeria for donations? And the other question is from Ayo Ogundima. What plans has Sowore got to address the unacceptable lack of electricity in our country? I know you talked about that, but just so they know that we
Yes, online people, viewers, thank you so much. We are working to set up our accounts in Nigeria that can enable us transparently raise money. But one thing I haven't said so far for people who are here is that we have a GoFundMe account online where you can donate transparently. You can also donate anonymously to the campaign. Our goal is to raise $2 million, like I mentioned, 200 from 10,000 Nigerians. If we are lucky and we find more than that, maybe 100,000, because there are 6 million Nigerians abroad. That's the population official. You know the unofficial population is probably twice that. And if we can raise from 100,000, that will take us to 20 million naira to fight this battle. And with that, we will never have spoken to a godfather or a godmother. It will be the first place, or I mean, first time politics is actually done in a revolutionary way of funding. It will change the way politics is done in Nigeria. I heard that they are panicking and they are even thinking about making it illegal to raise money on online, but they are wasting their time. This is too late now. But I'm just saying, if you can afford something, nothing is too small, as the pastors would like to tell you. Just give something. Just give something to us. So we don't have an account in Nigeria. We're trying to set up one. But you can give between, if we still have 1 million Nigerians give us $10, it's still a lot of money. So when we set up an account in Nigeria, we make it available online, Facebook, you can reach us there, you can reach us on Instagram, and Twitter. Electricity, we can't say enough of that. We have to go from the miserable 7,000 megawatts of electricity to at least 20,000 in the next 3 years for us to even qualify to call ourselves a country. 7,000 megawatts, we are only able to transmit 3,000 of that. We don't have infrastructure to transmit more than 3,000 megawatts. That cannot even power the subway in Toronto alone. So imagine if Toronto only had 3,000 megawatts of electricity, you won't be able to get here today. Because you won't be able to heat your water, you won't be living here. That's a simple thing. Nobody will be here. You won't have a Nigerian community in Toronto. If they were running to Nigeria the way they run Toronto the way they run Nigeria, all of you will run home. But look at it. There are Nigerians that are even leaving the US to move to Canada. Yes, that's the latest thing that's happening. People are leaving Donald Trump. Donald Trump is also running America the way Buhari is running Nigeria. In a different way mentally. So the siege is crazy. So absolutely, I agree that we have to do something drastic about electricity, and I know the importance of it. I just can't imagine that there are people who see, So one of the things that you get is that when you come here, you have a cultural shock. After a while, 2 years, who was here? Who's here in the room who's only spent a year in America? I mean, in North America, Canada, 1 year. Who's here who spent 1 year? Okay. 2 months. Yes. So you are still in the cultural shock age. I'm sure if I call your cell phone now, you have a full shebang of introduction. Hey, I'm Olajumeji Lawal. Please call me back. Sometimes you even put your address there. But after 5 years, you just said, please leave a message. That's where you know. That's where you know. Who's been here for 2 years? 2 years. Yes, fantastic. So you get a cultural shock when you're just arriving, but you go to Nigeria after 2 years and you get even worse cultural shock. Sometimes you can't even believe that this is the place I left 2 years ago, because each time you go back, things are worse than you left them. If you left an airport that had a conveyor belt 2 years ago, when you get there now, the conveyor belt has broken down. So you see human beings pushing luggage out of the hole. Another person will collect it for you, and you're just like, my God, what happened to this place? Because Nigeria has been ruled by the enemy of Nigerians. That's a simple truth. They take care of themselves like crazy. These guys, they will travel anywhere in the world. They are helping to develop every other city in the world. You go to Dubai, Nigerians are the ones who, after Dubai started operating, they are the ones keeping the UAE economy going. You go to London, you go to South Africa, you come here, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of properties in the Toronto, in the GTA are owned by Nigerian politicians, the greater Toronto area. But they will never do the same thing for their country. Never. They will never see a train and swear that they will go and replicate it in their country. There used to be a governor of Edo State who loved Toronto very well, Lucky Grenada, you know. But he could not even take a model of a school, primary school, from Canada and take it to Nigeria. So, except we change these people, and we change the narrative, and we consciously support ourselves to fix that country, we will continue to be in worse conditions than we are now. And the sad part is that this looks like one of the last opportunities we have. I'm sorry to say. After 2019, if things continue the way they are now, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm not a prophet, but I just can't help but prophesy that it will be terrible. It will be end of discussion. That's the name of the card.
Thank you so much, man. I think it deserves a lot of accolades. I'm going to call on Iyamito of Canada, the Secretary of the Nigerian Canadian Association Board of Directors. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Fumi
Olumade.
I just want to appreciate Sowore for the courage to come out.
One second for me. I would like to call Famuyiwa Okweoluwa and Abbas Akonji, so please step forward. After her, you can ask your questions.
So a lot of questions have been asked, and some of the things that I have in mind, but I just have this one left to ask. Since we are trying to change the political dynamics in Nigeria and negating the zonal presidency, which part of the country will your vice president candidate come from? And will you consider a female? Then the second one is I don't know if you know Wale Okuni of NIM, Nigeria Intervention Movement. Are you willing to partner with him and his movement? Because I know there are a lot of movements going out now to drive home your message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead with your question.
I'm President. I also want to know the question I have is, I believe you have data.
Yes.
What platform are you using to gather and analyze opinion polls to eliminate bias? We need to know and feel what the Nigerian population really wants. I'm a stickler for understanding what people want and doing exactly that. You have your agenda, it's okay. Second question is, now, I'm sold out. I just heard about you in less than a week or two weeks thereabout, and already I'm on board because I clicked. But to be result oriented, the question I have is, what mechanism are you employing to identify and target actual voting communities? I mean the exact people who have PVCs and can vote. Now, it's good to come to the diaspora and talk to people who are influencers, right? But exactly who are the people going to the polls, and how are you ensuring they are sold?
My name is Abbas Akonji, and my question is, what is your definition of leadership? In what ways will you help Nigerians realize the challenge we face and do the art of overcoming them together?
Thank you very much. Please indulge me, because we really spent time. I would like to take the two last questions and then give him a chance to answer all of them so that we can round up and go. It's almost 4 o'clock. So I'd like to call Prince Ayo Ajisebutu and Nekpen Obasogi. Nekpen Obasogi is one of our prime bloggers here in our community. She does a lot, and she's a member of the Nigerian Canadian Association. So please, these two people, could you just step forward and ask your questions so that we can take all of them together?
Hello, my dear brother Sowore. Thank you. Thank you so much. So joyful you're here doing this. My name is Prince Ayo Ajishebutu. Under your platform, under political platform, will you be running? Now we know the two biggest ones, the PDP and the APC, which you're not member of. But, so which other platform will you be running?
Okay, my question is a little bit different. So, as we all know, Nigeria is very rich in resources, and the money from our resources is not equally distributed among all citizens. So, my question here is that there is a huge gap in social services in Nigeria. This includes such as a lack of benefit for people with disabilities, widows, that is single mothers, the elderly ones, and more others. If you become the president of Nigeria, how will you address this issue in the country?
Thank you so much. Let me point out, after he has answered the last question, Mike is going to come up, and Mike will just finalize anything. He will take like 1 or 2 questions that are very important and vital to this meeting. So if you just don't get agitated if your question was not treated, there's a reason why we're doing it like this. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. You asked a very important question. That part of what I'm looking for is a complete destruction of the political space in 2 ways. That we are able to defeat these people without playing their type of politics of distributing rice, dodo, and seeing people with brooms and umbrella that are tattered. But that we actually give our women a pride of place in Nigeria. Women are so important in making sure that this country, whatever it is that Nigeria is left with, has actually been engineered by women, just by their sheer resilience. They are the ones taking care of the kids, and now they are taking care of adults too, the lazy adults who are running the country, who believe that women should stay in the other room. So it will be my pleasure to find a female who can be the vice president of and it will just be that she's qualified and able to do what is needed, what is necessary. And so that will be my great pleasure. If you have any ideas, you have any suggestions, want to think about that, and I'll look into that. Wale Okuneyi, we actually were in the student movement together. We're having a conversation with him. I saw him at the 80th birthday of Ganifa with me last week, and we had some conversation which will continue after here. You mentioned data, but I'm also a stickler for data. The website that runs our reporters is data-driven. You know, we use analytics of visits, penetration, and exit every day to determine which stories are being consumed and how people consume them. So it helps us to distribute our stories with maximum impact. So we have used the mechanism of something as simple as SurveyMonkey, for example. We used to determine what people really wanted in this election. You'll be shocked. Most Nigerians, their first priority is health. Health is their first priority. That's what we found out. But in doing data too, you have to analyze data to understand causative effects. Why is it that their health are so bad? Because most times they are stressed out, with no security around to protect them, with no electricity to do some simple things that could make you be healthy. For example, you know that mosquitoes are all over the place in Nigeria, but mosquitoes don't like AC. So if you provide electricity and people can cool their homes, the likelihood that they'll get malaria will be very, very minute. And then, so data was what brought us to that. That's why we put health and education as a separate element. But we think that what can drive better health and education is security, power, infrastructure, and if we can stop the corruption that is going on even within our own health environment and create an economy that will be fantastic, Nobody has asked me any question about the economy since we started, because you guys know that the economy is not economy if it's only based on PowerPoints. Nigerian economy is PowerPoint based. Each time they feel like people don't understand the economy, they go and say that they have rebased the economy, which is the product of PowerPoint presentation. It's nonsense. The economy doesn't have electricity. You are telling me that your economy is bigger than that of South Africa. If you go to South Africa today, you can get on a train from the airport to your hotel within 30 minutes, and it's cleaner than the train in Toronto. But Nigeria doesn't have it. The last time we had any train that connects two cities, the one between Abuja and Kaduna, the other day somebody shot at it in motion. That's the kind of train. It's not even fast. It's still the locomotive, kind of train. But that's what they are proud of. When even the worst cities in America and Canada can have tram, which takes people from place to place. So don't let us even go there. But data are great. Mechanism to target voting community. You'll be surprised how data works interactively with our campaign. Not only are we using data, we're also visualizing data now. It's no big deal. Data visualization, infographics is part of what is driving our campaign. But my advice to any one of you who might be interested in helping us to advance our technological knowledge, we actually have a whole tech team that is helping us build tools and analyzing data from all of our users and how we can have the best reach. So please feel free to join us. I'll give you my contact before I leave here. Don't only donate your money, you can donate your time. We're looking for political capital, not cash alone. So if you have any ideas that you think can take this to the next, because the real work is not even the campaign or the election. It's what happens the day after you are sworn in. That's where the real work is, and that's where I want you guys to please, let's start thinking through that. Because you can imagine if all of you can come and partake in a government, all of you young people that have great ideas, it will just be amazing. That is what some people cannot forgive Buhari for. That you become president of Nigeria, you are so old, you can't even think of young Nigerians who made it possible. The ambassador of Nigeria to the US is 82 years old. The one to the UK is 79 years old. I mean, I don't hate old people, but I don't want an ambassador to my country not to be able to get in the elevator by himself. They should have just let these people rest. That's why the retirement age is 65. So, and it's part of what I have as a problem with people fronting for restructuring too. They are saying that Buhari is too old, but at the age of 80, they too want to be the one restructuring Nigeria for us. We are not on the table. So, yes. Abbas Akonji gave me a homework assignment. What is the definition of leadership? I will give you the answer. You just give me your email, because I have to consult Google. You can't just expect leaders to know everything. So, Ayo Ajishebutu political platform, we are working with a coalition of parties. It's too late to match parties and it's too late to create my own. If I did this on time, I would have loved to completely set up my own political party or our own political party and use it. It would have been the biggest political party in Africa by now. And it won't be that we're making it up. But now we have to work with some parties, and like Mama here said, some of you will have to walk through some of the existing structures, and that will happen soon. Social services and disability, elderly people. Look, let's even start by taking care of the elderly people by paying pension to people who deserve it first. Let them get their pension on time, and that will be my starting point, is to take care of those people we are owing in the system. Nigeria don't pay pension to people who have worked for 35 years. So many of them have died. In the Nigeria Airways alone, they've released the money, but these wicked people who have put the money in the bank account generating interest. The guy who ran the Nigeria Airways last is from my area of Ondo State, Olusegun Agabu. He was the governor of Ondo State. He was the guy whose dead body crashed in a plane. Sometimes you want to believe that it's karma. Yes. I met with disabled people. Sorry, I don't want to use the word disabled people. Nobody is disabled. It's physically challenged people in Lagos. And I made a promise to them, I'll fulfill it, that every physically challenged person in Nigeria should be able to take home 50,000 naira per quarter, to take care of some of their needs. And we'll be working towards ensuring that, we have to collect their identities first. We have to verify who is actually physically challenged. Nigeria, people can quickly.
They can become physically challenged.
That comes to a lot of countries. So we want to do like a proper vetting of. Before you know it, the half of the country will be physically challenged. So, social services, we have to have holistic response to taking care of the weak and infirm in our society. That's why social services are important. A lot of Nigerians who have walked around here for 20 years, they are already receiving benefits. I have been laid off before and I was collecting unemployment for a while. That helps prepare me for my next job. I graduated from the University of Lagos in 1995, finally, and I went to youth corps service in 95 and finished in 96. The only time I ever used my certificate was someone gave me a check for 5,000 naira. So when I wanted to clear it, they asked me for a form of ID I didn't have. So the bank asked me to go and bring my certificate to show that I graduated from it. So I went and called and brought it. That was the only time. Nobody employed me. There was no job in Nigeria. There are some people that I graduated with that time that still haven't had a job till today. Yes, they contact you all the time. If you are lucky to have a Facebook page now, all your friends, some of them that you thought have died, they come back to you and say, how are things with you? And you know that the conversation can go quickly in the direction of support. So, to be honest, you are the social security of Nigeria right now, people in diaspora. You are the one supporting your parents, paying school fees for kids that are good. You are the social security department of Nigeria, whether you like it or not. Because you must be challenged. There's a way when people want money from you at home, you start with prayers, They end up with prayers too. So let's continue to support ourselves, but this is one last support we must give ourselves, which is to ensure the country is liberated, so that you guys can actually go on vacation. Yes. Because for as long as Nigerians are not happy, it doesn't matter where you are as a Nigerian, it will rub off on you. It's the reason I didn't even bother to change my citizenship. For 19 years, I don't know where they will change it, and I'm not condemning those of you who have changed. But something keeps telling me that if I don't keep using Nigeria to punish myself, I will one day maybe just drift away from thinking about it. And it's very, very easy to get drowned and just tune off from Nigeria. Because, where do we wake up in the world? Probably we are the only country. I don't even think Palestinians go through that. We're probably the only country where you wake up and like, my goodness, why did I come from this place? But that development is about to change. Yeah. Let's always say amen. Yeah. So I'm sorry for the pastors that are taking your style of getting people to be excited. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to thank the organizers again. I want to thank our viewers online. We noticed that you stayed with us. And I want to thank the club for not deceiving me that I can actually stand in front of you for close to 4 hours. Yes. I'm still standing. Thank you, Chidi.
Thank you very much.
I must say this about Chidi. I have collaboration with people from time to time to solve difficult problems. And we had to deal with a wicked problem when a pastor was involved in a dalliance with one of you here. We will have that conversation during another symposium discussion in the future.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Put your hands together for him. Put your hands. Can we just stand on our feet and appreciate him? That is so wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Sowore. To say that you inspire me, it will be an understatement. You've heard a lot of people say this is the future of Nigeria. Yes. I'm not talking about him personally, but what he represents. He said something outstanding. If we miss it in 2019, sorry for us. So thank you so much. You can sit down now, please. I'm going to call on our own brother, Mike Oloyode, who has really done so much concerning organizing. Please be seated, please be seated. We're going to call him to round up this whole thing and then bring it to a close. Thank you so much. Did I do well? Yes, sir. The club now. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Unfortunately, Mr. Sowore, we will still have to stand up again and answer a few questions. These are pertinent ones that I can't just not, and some people have been actually complaining. So I'm going to read those questions for you that you just have to answer before we go to the next one. And these are very, the first guy said, what is the guarantee that whatever coalition you are putting together will nominate you? Is there a guarantee? The next question, that's from Jeffrey Usman. I'm sorry that you're not being called upon to ask a question, but that is the question, the guarantee that you'll be having it. Then from Mr. Lanre Adebayo, said this is like a movement. What are your plans after this election? If you should lose this election, what are your plans after that?
I would like to emphasize on that. This is very personal to me.
Sure.
If you allow me.
Can you use the mic, please?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
You want to come forward and
No, I'll yeah. Again, my name is Lanre Adebayo.
Sure.
And my question is that this is a movement you just started. And every movement is based on an ideology. The problem Nigeria has is that our political parties are not ideological based. Yes. And ideology live longer than whoever started it. So if you should lose this election, where do we go from here? Because we see the likes of Gani Farimi. After the election, nothing happened to carry on. And we're in the situation where we are right now because most of the people who fought for democracy did not follow up politically, especially you are part of them. I watched your interview with Channel Television where you called you are 21-year-old and at the back of MKO. I actually saw the video, but most of you chickened out after democracy was allowed in Nigeria. And that's how we allow the rogues to continue to lead this country. So what are your plans? What do you want to do?
And the last question is, if you want to address this issue of the factory that is going on online, that if you want to address it for the people to have your own side of the story. So that will be the questions that we're taking. So please, if we didn't come to your question, you have to understand the time constraint on us. So please, there will be the last questions for Mr. Sowore.
Thank you. Let me take the last one, which was is mentioning a guy who claimed that I demanded 100 million naira from him. I've been through a lot of this kind of smear campaigns that I don't really pay attention to them anymore. If any one of you was around in 2015, Jonathan people claimed that the APC gave me a $5 million house in California. That one was even more potent than this. And my attitude is that, you have a $5 million house in California, how come there's no address to it? So, and a lot of people pressured me at that time because I think there's something about Nigeria when they hear money, they just don't look back because money is a major player of how I think our thought processes are wired, and I don't blame them. So later, it fizzled out. The guy who set up the website that was used for it even closed down his website because it was a special purpose blackmail. And the only way that blackmail was settled was to vote out Jonathan. So this latest one actually emanated from last year when I was attacked because I found out that he's my friend, by the way. One of the younger persons when I was leaving the university that was part of the people that I created in the movement. But he wasn't very interested in movement politics. He wanted to make money quickly. And so we found out that Femi Fani-Kayode had used his company to collect money discreetly from the NSA's office. And when I found out, I called him, I said, why would you do this? And he initially denied. And the conversation you heard in the tape was me asking to provide his account number so I can verify because he promised, which he eventually did, and I did the story. But he said to our friends that I should not put his name in the story. And that's where I'm different. The moment a friend of mine commits atrocity, I don't have any place in my heart to cover up anybody. I would rather that you shoot me for saying the truth than to cover up, because then I will not be different from other people that we condemn all the time. So he came and attacked me physically. I didn't know that he had planned it with the Commissioner of Police. I think it was Fatai or Osheni. I got to Osheni's office. Osheni, instead of investigating my physical attack, said, there's a petition here against you. Before I knew it, I was in Panti in Lagos. But I'm a familiar person at Panti now. We go there in National Union days. And they started playing games. You know those police games? Before you knew they had let him go, he signed a bail bond. I asked them, where's the petition? They said they can't give me, that I should come back the next day, but I should sign the bail bond. And I said, wait a minute, bail bond for what? Oh, this is a criminal offense, or God, we have to go home, Sowore. Just sign. I said, no, sir, I don't sign this kind of nonsense. Keep me in jail. Tomorrow, charge me. Well, eventually, they let me go without signing the bail bond. Next day, we came with all our lawyers and sympathizers to the police station. They started begging me that they want us to resolve the issue. So I said to them, when did the police station become a conflict resolution center? I refused to resolve it. And they asked us to go with a lawyer. I had about 15 lawyers in attendance. And when I eventually then asked the police commissioner, I said, what exactly is my offense? He said, well, what we can find out so far is 2 fighting. And everybody laughed and said, well, you guys are friends. But the reason I did not resolve the issue with him was exactly because of a day like this. If I had gone into any meeting with him saying, let's resolve it, it would have been on record that he would have claimed that I begged him so that he won't expose me. But I cannot stand in front of you with integrity and claim that I want to save Nigeria if I've ever demanded money from anybody, for that matter, to kill a story or not to write a story. It's not true. You should take time and listen to the audio that they are parading. It's all concocted. And it was last year that it happened. But my hunch now is that they now see this as a threat. And they probably hired him, you know, the Buhari people. But this, please, you know, Nigerians sometimes don't wait and we just see how he demanded 100 billion or million. People don't ask questions sometimes. But it's nothing to worry about. The reason I'm not worried about it is that I know it's a distraction. I've been through it before. When I was younger at the University of Lagos, we fought courts. After we finished fighting the courts, the university said we are the ones who are courts. Yes, and they expelled all of us, courts and student union leaders. When we came back, student union leaders fought the authorities. They absorbed all of us back, court and student leaders. We graduated the same day. That's Nigeria. It's an unjust society, and that is why good people must take over the space of Nigeria. What is dangerous about Nigeria is that there's little or no room to do good inside the space if we don't rescue it on time. And that's what somebody was referring to. Your mother can sell you, if you are not careful in Nigeria, from myself. Your brother can do it. So how much more of someone who doesn't even, who is just interested in money? And the money we get, but nothing will last forever. No lie told will last forever. No integrity concocted will last forever. It is the reason why the so-called integrity that Buhari had has fallen apart. Because very early in the game, even the decision to declare his asset, he started playing games with people. Till today, he can't give us a copy of his asset declaration form. Said he was going to sell all the presidential jets, except 2. All of them are still there. The man is busy enjoying himself up and down. Traveling to London today, tomorrow Amsterdam, next tomorrow will probably be in Canada. He's coming to US next week. Or tonight, actually. So, just don't worry about these things. Because more of them will come, by the way. I guarantee you, as we are sitting down here, and they are watching you, and they are seeing the enthusiasm, they are seeing the passion. Somebody is cooking up another lie against Sowore, and you hear it. But the only reason why anybody could even worry about me is because very rapidly and quickly this has become a force that is a threat to the establishment. It is. And that is the part that I'm enjoying. It's the part that I want to work on. Not to be responding to frivolous allegations of, they one time even went and collected all my accounts in Nigeria and said they would publish it. I dared them to publish it. There was a time Saraki and his people concocted a document that I have $1 million in Bank of America. But the person who helped them forge the document forgot that my name is Omoyele, not Owoyele. If they knew, they probably would have gone back to it. It's just the way it is, and more of it will come. Please feel free to reach out if you have any concerns. And I know people are sensitive about integrity because it's the only currency I have in this race. PRP is People's Redemption Party. It's the oldest political party in Nigeria. When we met Balarabe Musa, he offered it to us. But our call on him is to calm down, that we want to work with coalitions so that some of the questions we asked about also having other candidates of like mind take over less, some other positions are part of the agenda. So parties will come and the platform will come. The only thing is that because we cannot go for party mergers at this point, which means that the parties will relinquish their certificate from INEC and give it back to INEC. We have to fly the flag of one of the parties out of the several coalitions, and the others will then adopt a candidate. My best bet would have been to be an independent candidate. As a councillor in Toronto said today, that's how politics is done in Toronto. You don't have to belong to a party to contest. I wish we had that. The bill is actually sitting on President Buhari's table for independent candidacy, but he won't sign it because that would be his death knell. So ideological base of the parties or ideological base of candidates. I've been through enough of ideological conversation enough to tell you that it's not enough to have an ideological base. Because you know that the ideological base of the other parties is just how to grab and grab and grab more. But one thing that needs to evolve out of what we are doing now is to come to a position where the Nigerian person becomes an ideological person. And why am I saying that? Or when that it becomes an ideology, is to look at China. When it was convenient for China to jump in bed with communism, they did it. When it was convenient to do it with socialism, they did it. When it was convenient to be a capitalist, they became the biggest capitalist in the world. But what you get today is you cannot associate China with any ideology, but you can call somebody Chinese. And when you say somebody is a Chinese, it means he's a hard-working person who can perform miracles or wonders. They can build skyscrapers overnight. And I think that's where we should go in Nigeria. There are some of the ideologies that form the basis for this conversation or questioning. They are foreign and alien to us. If you go to Russia, where Marxism is from, even Russians are no longer practicing Marxism as such. And we as black people, no matter how ideologically based we are not accepted in Russia. That's the truth. We are treated with racism. But why don't we have a Nigerian ideology? Maybe we start from a Pan-African ideology where Nigeria becomes the leader of Africa, to save Africa, support Africans. That's the kind of ideology that I think we should be working towards. It's something that is Afrocentric, you know, and such that the man that is wearing cowrie shells around his neck is not considered inferior to the man who is wearing the cross. That's the way I think to look at it. So that was probably all the questions I have left. I want to answer that of Gani Fawewe. Gani died, but I don't think some of his ideas died. The NCP is actually still around, but you know, comrade, how when the organization changed from the hand of the original founder to other people, it could get very, very complicated. But you know, Gani is still very much around ideologically, and his ideas are still flourishing through his his political party. But you know, they have some challenges right now. But again, I thank you all for your great questions, and I will continue to be available. Let me say this for those who are saying, if you lose. I want to change it to when you win.
Yes, thank you very much. And just inform that if you have the opportunity, there will be the New York Town Hall next Saturday. I'm sure they'll be posting on the website. So if you have the opportunity to visit in the United States, in New York, that will be next Saturday. Well, I think we've come to the end of our town hall meeting. Yeah, okay. They'll be in Ottawa tonight and tomorrow, I believe, and then tomorrow in Ottawa, and tomorrow evening in Montreal too. So if you have friends there that have not been, that are not aware of what is going on, you can. Sure. I'm sure that most of us would like to take a picture with Sowore. With our President Sowore, right? The only thing, like I've warned people that want to take picture, they are copyright infringement if you use it without my knowledge. Without my permission. Okay. Yeah, so all that been said, and at the end of the day, election is about choice. We can speak from now till the end of times. At that particular time, you have to make a choice. Do you want to continue the way you are? Or you want to try something that you believe looks positive, even if you haven't tried it? You've seen what is happening. You understand the whole scenario. You've been fooled for years. There's been investment in darkness. Now, are you prepared to take yourself out of the darkness into the light, or you want to remain the same? I can assure you, there are people who progress in decay. There are people that enjoy the way Nigeria is today because they make money. If you go to Afghanistan, there are so many bombings going on there, but there are people that are living in Afghanistan. They want it to remain the way it is. But if you are like me and you've come to that conclusion, what have I got to lose?
Yes.
It is incumbent on you and I to make that decision. Now, don't let anyone fool you that you live in Toronto and you cannot vote. Election is not, your choice is not about just voting alone. If you have the opportunity to vote, you are going to vote. But if not, if permission, you will not have a chance to be in Nigeria, I strongly believe he will place the Bible dictates the chin. You've been sending money to people back home continuously. You can tell them, this is my choice. If you want me to continue sending money to you, continue. I implore you, don't just say, I like the man, I don't know what I can do. There is a lot you can do. Please, we don't want to go through this exercise 4 years from now.
No.
We want to be in a situation where I will say, we have started and we have started good. So I'm going to call on Abi Saladi to round up by giving us the vote.
Take it back. 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 Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And I'm so happy because on this Saturday afternoon, where everybody can be outside, because this is the first time we have good weather in Toronto now, right? So we're very grateful for you coming. But I want to leave one thing. I want you to hold it it's very, very important. And what it is, this is a movement. And as we've been discussing from the beginning, that it's not going to die. Come what may, in 2019, May 2019, he will be the president. And one more thing that I like here is, since we've been having this town hall meeting, nobody invoked God. Because we use that name without even thinking about it. So, God apart now. God already gave us the knowledge and the willpower to do something for ourselves. But we've refused since 1960. Now is our time. If we don't do anything about it, we will be blamed by our future generation. So, please, it is not only about participation by internet, by talking, or by doing video call, or by doing all this conference call. It is active participation that can make impactful meaning to our Nigerian people. And again, about finance, please, as he actually said before, he said that it's the pastor saying nothing is small. Trust me, nothing is small. If you have, supposedly we have 180 million people in Nigeria. Imagine if everybody donate 55 naira. And now in North America or in diaspora in general, we are like 6 million people. If we have $10, so that will carry a lot of weight off our back. Once again, thank you everybody for coming. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Greatest Nigerian people. Greatest Nigerian people. Greatest of the greatest Nigerian people. Take it back. If you believe in Nigeria, take it back. If you believe in Sowore, take it back. If you believe in Nigeria, take it back. If you believe in Sowore, take it back. If you believe in Nigeria, take it back. If you believe in Sowore, take it back. Greatest Nigerian people. Greatest Nigerian people.
Is that the book?
Okay, now smile.
I'll get your number.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you good, good. Now let's go outside. Don't mind. We'll go ahead. Let's do the rest. If we don't, is that how we're going to rule Nigeria? Everybody. Keep coming. Let's keep walking and talking. Let's keep walking and talking. Keep walking and talking. Let's keep walking and talking. Okay, let's keep walking and talking. Let's take all the pictures outside.
I'm good.
Okay.
You've been here, right? Yeah, I've been here for years.
Okay, let's line up on this step. On this step. Quickly. On the step.
So you can make it.
Okay, on the step.
Chidi. Let them.
Okay, people.
Let us stay well.
No rushing. Okay, let's go. Another level on this. Another level behind. I want to take a group picture. Okay, can we make space, please, space. Guys, okay, wait. Can we arrange this thing well? Arrange that very well. Okay. After this level, we're gonna have. Okay, you know what?
CD, you're not arranging it. Excuse me.
Let's get the whole crowd. Everybody should come together so they will see the crowd. Chidi, can you organize this for me? Tell me. I can listen. Tell you. Okay, let's.
Let's go and finish our own work. Work for great peace back.
No, guys, it's not fair now. The people were organized. It's not right. These guys were standing for me. Space. No, it's me. Fenyo, okay, take the picture now. Femi, I want another group here. It's got to be here. Fenyo. Stand here. That's my president. I beg. I will be able to stand. You're going to come to some. This is Vice President. Okay, everyone is there's a group here. Here, just step forward. That's why we need a young president. Boss, fine now. If you guys stay out, okay, okay, can we form a line here? Can we form a line? Take a photo shot. Please, let's form a line. Let's take a line. See, is that how we're going to do it? Okay, now, everybody stand on this line. Please, let's form a line. Let's form a line. Let's form a line, please. I want to don't push him now. Okay, everybody's fine.
How can we get this, please?
Okay, no.
Get it right once and for all.
Get it right. Put us on Facebook and Instagram. Sowore 2019.
He's our man. He's our man.
Can I have everybody raise your hand like this? Take it back. 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 Sowore. Ọmọ wa ni o. Ọmọ wa ni. Wọ́n fẹ́ sọ ẹ̀dá nílẹ̀ sọ. Ọmọ wa ni. Kẹ́nikẹ́ni má fọwọ́ kan Sowore. Ọmọ wa ni o. Ọmọ wa ni Sowore. Ọmọ wa ni. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight for our Nigeria, let me take you. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. Kwara. Any Kwara person here? Kwara State, Kwara.
We refuse University of Lagos to become Maoland in 2011. Greatest Akokai! Greatest Akokai! Greatest Akokai! Greatest
Baba, let me snap.
Yes, we have to send a strong message to everybody back home that the time has come for us to save our country from the cabals, the vultures that have come to devour us. We are not going to take it anymore. It has happened in the past for the last decades. This is the time to stop them. We have to put a stop to it. And that is the movement we have started today. And we are going for, we're not going to stop. Everybody must rise up and get this done this time around, once and for all. Thank you.
The way we say it, we know that this is exactly the time that we want to take back our country exactly from what we've been experiencing for many years. You know, we're already old now. We're already getting older. We're the youth of this country now. What's going to happen in the next 5, 10 years, 20 years? Our kids are going to grow up, and what are we expecting to happen again? So now is the time for us to take our country back from who and the people that have been destroying it, the whole cabals, and now is the time to take it back. So Sowore, take it back, take back Nigeria. Thank you.
I do not have much to say. I just hope before I can make my own decision, I want to see the blueprint of what the manifesto is. Yeah, this is a good movement on Sowore'S side, but like I asked the question earlier, where do we go from here if at this point we do not get what we want? Because to actually liberate certain people, you have to stand on a particular ideology that you know if you're not there anymore, some people are still going to carry on from where you are. I pray, I hope the right people will join the movement. I pray and hope this kind of thing will be inculcated into the young Nigerians, that they will know they have the chance and they have the ability, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your locality, your class, or your political affiliation. What is most important is about Nigeria, about bringing this country to its rightful place in the world. We have the human resources, we have the power, we have the energy, but we do not have the right leader. We do not have the people with the right attitude to carry that country. I pray, I hope Sowore will be the one, but if it's not the best, let God bring the best. But we are continuing to go and put our own best into whatever we see that can bring this country.